Hello and welcome to Tech with Shaving Pixel. We are bringing you free cloud certification course. So this time we are bringing you AI-900 Microsoft Azure AI Fundamentals full crash course. We have also included some practice question answers for you to help pass the exam.
The AI-900 exam is a part of Microsoft role-based certification program. Passing these exam will earn you the Microsoft Certified Azure AI Fundamentals certification. So the learning objectives are describe AI workloads and considerations, describe fundamental principles of machine learning on Azure, describe features of computer vision workloads on Azure, describe features of natural language processing NLP workloads on Azure, and describe features of conversational AI workloads on Azure. Are you ready to take the AI 900 exam? This test evaluates your knowledge in 5 key areas: AI workloads, fundamental principles of machine learning on Azure, features of computer vision workloads on Azure, features of natural language processing workloads on Azure, and features of generative AI workloads on Azure. So let's start with an introduction to Azure Machine Learning Designer, a drag and drop interface for training and deploying machine learning models without writing any code. You will learn about the fundamentals of machine learning, data preparation, and model evaluation covering classification, regression, and clustering. Next, we will explore the Azure AI Services Suite, a collection of pre-built AI components. We'll delve into its computer vision capabilities, natural language processing capabilities, and the Azure OpenAI service, which allows you to create applications using OpenAI's generative AI models. So ready to ace the AI exam? Let's dive into these essential subject areas. Are you ready to dive into the world of machine learning with Azure? Machine learning is transforming industries from cybersecurity to customer service. And its core, it's about feeding real world data into a program to make predictions. For example, it can analyze emails to predict if they are spam or not. To get started, we will create an Azure machine learning workspace. In the Azure portal, we will set up a workspace and a compute target to run our machine learning experiment. Next, we will use the drag and drop interface called Designer to specify our dataset and choose a regression algorithm to predict automobile prices. After training the model, we'll use the score model and evaluate model modules to see how accurate our predictions are. Ever heard of overfitting in machine learning? We built a model with 98% accuracy, which sounds impressive, but there's a catch. The problem is that we use the same data to evaluate the model that we use to train it. These can lead to overfitting, where the model perfectly fits the training data but performs poorly with new data. One critical way to reduce the risk of overfitting is to evaluate the model using a separate test dataset. By splitting the original dataset into a training dataset, 70 to 80%, and the test dataset, 20 to 30%, we can effectively identify overfitting issues. In the data transformation section, find the split data module and adjust the settings to create an 80-20 split. Then connect the dataset to the split data module and proceed to evaluate the model. So by evaluating the model using data that it didn't see during the training phase, we were able to identify and address the overfitting problem. Remember, accurate evaluation is key in machine learning. Cleaning missing data. Looking to improve your model accuracy? Let's dive into cleaning missing data to see how it can boost your model's performance. First, let's identify the missing data. We'll explore the dataset and find columns with missing values like the normalized losses and price columns. Next, we will clean the data using modules like select columns in dataset and clean missing data. We will exclude the normalized losses column and remove rows with missing prices. After running the pipeline, the accuracy jumped from 93.5% to 95.1%. It's clear that cleaning missing data can significantly enhance your model accuracy. Experimenting with different cleaning methods is key to finding the best approach for your model. So stay tuned for more tips on optimizing your data for top-notch results. Deploy our machine learning model for predictions. So to get started, we'll create a real-time inference pipeline. This will allow us to submit new data and receive predictions in real time. Next, we will create a deployment target, a compute cluster that will run the inference pipeline. We will select the region and virtual machine size suitable for our needs. After creating the inference cluster, we will deploy the real-time inference pipeline to it. These may take a while, but once it's ready, we can move on to testing. In the testing phase, we will input new data or use the automatically filled fields to see the model's predictions. Once satisfied, we will learn how to call the endpoint from our applications. Exciting times ahead as we bring our machine learning model to life for real world predictions. Importing data into Azure Machine Learning Studio. So to import data from a web URL, simply drag the import data module onto the canvas and change the data source to URL via HTTP. Then validate the data and preview the schema to ensure the columns are correctly interpreted. For larger datasets, it's better to use Azure Blob Storage. Upload the data into Blob Storage, create a database, and then a dataset. These allows for better performance and additional benefits like creating multiple datasets version and monitoring for data drift. Storing your data is an Azure service and referencing it through Azure machine learning data stores and datasets provides real benefits. It's a powerful way to manage and utilize your data effectively. Are you aware of all the options available when training and deploying a model? Let's dive into the different compute and deployment targets you can choose from to optimize your model's performance. When training a model, you have the choice of compute instances, compute clusters, and attached compute. Compute instances are individual virtual machines with the option to select the size and type of processing unit, CPUs or GPUs. GPUs are particularly beneficial for deep learning models due to their ability to perform a large number of computations simultaneously. If a single compute instance isn't fast enough, a compute cluster, such as an Azure Kubernetes service cluster, can be utilized for scalability. For deployment, the default option in the Machine Learning Designer is an Azure Kubernetes Service Cluster. However, if using the Azure Machine Learning SDK, numerous other options are available, including Azure Container Instances, Azure Functions, and Azure IoT Edge. And that's a wrap on the various compute and deployment targets you can leverage for your model training and deployment. Learn how to add custom code to your Azure machine learning pipelines using the execute Python script module. To add your own code to a pipeline, you can use the execute Python script module. This module allows you to import additional Python resources via a zip bundle and has two output ports for results datasets. You have the flexibility to input and output data using your Python code. For instance, you can send output directly to Azure Storage. However, if you're building a pipeline with multiple modules, you will need to use at least one input and one output port. Remember, the designer doesn't provide tools for development and debugging. So it's recommended to do your development in a different environment and then paste the code into the module. Have you ever wondered how computers can learn, understand, and recognize patterns without being explicitly coded for that? It's all thanks to the breakthrough of data science and machine learning. But creating machine learning models can be cumbersome and expensive. That's where cognitive services come in. Cognitive services allow developers to build AI infused applications without needing AI, ML, or data science skills. It's like having machine learning as a service, providing a huge head start by utilizing refined technologies from Microsoft. Cognitive services offer a wide language support, keep your data private, and are generally inexpensive to consume. Plus, many services have a free tier to get you started without an Azure subscription. With our 20 services divided into 5 pillars, including vision, speech, language, decision, and web search, cognitive services cover a wide range of AI capabilities. Cognitive services are a fast evolving part of Microsoft's AI strategy, constantly changing and improving. So stay tuned for more updates on these exciting technology. Let's dive in and understand the capabilities of these powerful Microsoft Vision APIs. Microsoft's Computer Vision API is a versatile tool that can describe images, identify objects, detect faces, and even extract text from images. It can also recognize colors, identify adult content, and even celebrities and landmarks. The Face API is specialized for facial recognition and detection, and it can identify emotions, generate face landmarks, and even create a person's group for face recognition and authentication. For video files, the Video Indexer API is the go-to tool. It can identify people, create subtitles, detect sentiment, and generate keywords for better indexing. Custom vision allows you to train the vision model to your specific needs, making it a powerful tool for custom image recognition and classification. Microsoft's Vision APIs offer a wide range of capabilities from general image analysis to specialized facial recognition and custom model training. Let's explore the powerful capabilities of Microsoft Speech Services. Microsoft Speech Services API offers speech to text, text to speech, and speech translation functionality, all in one comprehensive package. This technology is highly mature, low latency, and natively integrated into the bot framework for seamlessly voice interactions. The services supports 40 languages for speech to text, 45 languages for text to speech, with 75 voices and 60 languages for speech translation, including Klingon for the Star Trek fans out there. Speaker recognition allows for voice-based authentication similar to face recognition with an enrollment phase to create a unique voice signature. The speech to text service offers profanity handling, three recognition models, and JSON response types, making it versatile for various applications. Connecting to speech to text can be done via REST API, batch transcription API, speech SDKs, or speech devices SDK, each with its own unique advantages. Text to speech offers standard and neural voices as well as the ability to create custom voice models using custom speech. Speech translation leverages the translation text APIs and is available through the SDK, offering options to handle profanity in translated text. Customizing speech services is made easy with Speech Studio, allowing for the creation of acoustic models, language models, custom pronunciation models, and even personalized voice fonts. Microsoft Speech Services opens up a world of possibilities for voice enabled applications. Let's dive into the fascinating world of decision and web search, two of the smallest categories of cognitive services. In the decision category, we have two powerful options: the content moderator, which ensures user generated content is appropriate, and the personalizer, a cloud based API for tailoring content to specific users. Now let's talk about the last pillar of cognitive services, web search. This category includes Bing Web, video, image, and news search, all falling under the Bing umbrella. Let's explore the unique Bing services such as Bing Spell Check, Bing Auto Suggest, Bing Entity Search, Bing Visual Search, and Custom Search. Each of these services offers a distinct and valuable functions for your applications. With these incredible tools, you can take your applications to the next level, providing tailored content and seamless web search experience. Innovations in AI and machine learning. Cutting edge technology now allows computers to learn, interact, and reason in unprecedented ways, thanks to advancements in cloud computing and data. Microsoft Cognitive Services includes vision, speech, language, decision, and web search offer accessible AI models for various applications, from recognizing objects to enabling apps to listen and speak. Understanding the Azure OpenAI service. Generative AI is a fascinating concept that we'll explore and we'll delve into where the OpenAI models fit into the broader AI landscape. Discover the different capabilities of the Azure OpenAI service, including its natural language, code generation, and image generation capabilities. So we'll wrap things up by reviewing Azure AI's access and responsible AI policies, ensuring a comprehensive understanding of what the services offer. So welcome to Generative AI. Let's dive into the transformation capabilities of OpenAI and its groundbreaking technologies like ChatGPT and DAL-E. These AI models can take natural language input and return human-like responses, making them incredibly versatile tools in the AI landscape. OpenAI's generative AI models can generate natural language, code, and images, performing tasks like summarizing text, suggesting alternative wording, translating code, and creating realistic or artistic images. These models, such as GPT 3.5 and GPT 4, excel at a variety of natural language tasks that are at the heart of OpenAI's capabilities. GPT models like GPT 3.5 and GPT 4 are adept at inferring the context of a user's question based on the prompt, allowing them to answer questions, generate names or phrases, and much more. They are incredibly versatile and can be applied to various use cases, shaping the future of AI. Shaping the future of AI. For example, a GPT model can generate a detailed cooking recipe based on certain ingredients. However, it's important to remember that the responses generated are best guesses from a machine and should be reviewed for accuracy. In essence, OpenAI's generative AI models are powerful tools that can produce new content based on the input they receive, shaping the future of AI and its applications across various industries. Get ready to explore the powerful collaboration between Microsoft and OpenAI with the Azure OpenAI service. Leveraging Azure's infrastructure, including security, compliance, and regional availability, this service is designed to assist users in developing enterprise-grade applications. The Azure OpenAI service consists of pre-trained generative AI models, customization capabilities, built-in tools to detect and mitigate harmful use cases, and enterprise grade security with role based access control and private networks. From machine learning to conversational AI and knowledge mining, Azure OpenAI supports a wide array of AI workloads, making it a versatile tool for developers. Explore the Azure OpenAI Studio, a platform where you can build and deploy AI models for public consumption in software applications. Whether it's generative code or unique images from text into the studio has you covered. Accessing Azure OpenAI requires an application process. Once granted access, you can use the service through REST APIs, Python SDK, or the web-based interface in the Azure OpenAI Studio. OpenAI's GPT-4 and GPT 3.5 are trained on a diverse range of internet text and excel at tasks like summarizing, classifying, translating, answering questions, and generating content. These models break down into tokens and map them into vectors for machine learning training, allowing them to understand and generate natural language. Developers have integrated these models into various applications such as ChatGPT, where users can interact with generative AI capabilities through a front end user interface. Remember, while these models provide impressive responses, they are ultimately best guesses from a machine. Exciting advancements in AI have led to the development of OpenAI's code generation models, including GPT-4 and GPT 3.5 Turbo. These models are revolutionizing the way we interact with programming languages and code snippets. OpenAI's code generation AI models such as GPT-4 and GPT 3.5 Turbo are proficient in over a dozen languages including Python, C, JavaScript, Perl, and PHP. They work by breaking down input into tokens and mapping them into vectors for machine learning model training. These models can generate code based on natural language prompts. For example, they can accurately produce a Python function that adds two numbers when given the prompt. However, it's important to note that while the generated code is syntactically correct, it may not always be logically correct or optimal. Developers have integrated these code generation capabilities into front-end user interfaces, allowing users to type, prompt, and receive automated code snippets. These integration is available through the OpenAI API and Azure OpenAI API, providing a powerful tool for developers. OpenAI's code generation models are transforming the landscape of programming and development, offering innovative solutions for code generation and language understanding. Discover the incredible capabilities of OpenAI's image generation models like DAL-E, which can create new images based on prompts, base images, or both. Image creation. OpenAI's DAL-E can generate original images by interpreting detailed text prompts. For example, a prompt for a futuristic cityscape at sunset can result in a visually accurate representation. Editing and variations. These generative AI models can also edit images, change layouts or styles, and create variations on provided images. The possibilities are endless. It's important to remember that the generated images are best guesses from a machine. While they can visually represent the prompt, accuracy and optimizations are not guaranteed. Let's dive into the ethical implications of working with Azure OpenAI. Principles of ethical AI. When working with Azure OpenAI, it's crucial to adhere to the six Microsoft AI principles: fairness, reliability and safety, privacy and security, inclusiveness, accountability, and transparency. These principles ensure that AI systems don't discriminate, respond safely to new situations, respect data privacy, empower everyone, hold people accountable, and provide explanations for user understanding. Responsible use and access. To ensure responsible use, access to Azure OpenAI is currently limited. Customers must submit a registration form for initial experimentation access and approval for production use. Additional registration is required for modifying content filters or abuse monitoring settings. Working with Azure OpenAI comes with great potential, but it's essential to navigate it responsibly. Stay tuned for more insights on ethical AI. So are you looking to develop computer vision solutions? Look no further than Microsoft Azure AI Vision in Azure Vision Studio. Explore the capabilities of Azure AI Vision, including image analysis, face detection and recognition, and optical character recognition (OCR). Image analysis capabilities for analyzing images and video and extracting descriptions, tags, objects, and text. Face capabilities that enable you to build face detection and facial recognition solutions. Optical character recognition capabilities for extracting printed or handwritten text from images, enabling access to a digital version of the scanned text. Responsible AI. Let's explore the key principles that guide AI software development at Microsoft. First, let's talk about fairness. AI systems should treat all people fairly. For example, when creating a machine learning model for a loan approval application, it should predict loan approval without bias based on gender, ethnicity, or other factors. Azure Machine Learning includes the capabilities to interpret models and quantify the content of bias, helping to identify and mitigate it. Reliability and safety. Next, AI systems must perform reliably and safely, especially in applications like autonomous vehicles or medical diagnosis. Rigorous testing and development management process are essential to ensure these systems work as expected. Privacy and security are also key. AI systems should be secure and respect privacy, especially when dealing with large volumes of personal data. Even after development, privacy and security concerns must be considered. Inclusiveness is another important principle. AI systems should empower everyone and bring benefits to all parts of society, regardless of physical ability, gender, or ethnicity. Transparency is crucial. Users should be fully aware of the purpose of the system, how it works, and its limitations. Lastly, accountability is essential. Designers and developers of AI-based solutions should work within a framework of governance and organizational principles to ensure ethical and legal standards are met. Understanding these principles is crucial for creating ethical AI solutions. Let's dive in and explore the fascinating world of deep neural networks, DNNs. Deep learning is an advanced form of machine learning that emulates the way the human brain learns. It involves creating artificial neural networks that stimulate electrochemical activity in biological neurons using mathematical functions. For example, a deep neural network can be used to classify penguin species based on measurements of their bill length, bill depth, flipper length, and weight. This demonstrates how deep learning can be applied to solve classification problems. During the training process, the model learns the weights that results in the most accurate predictions by iteratively adjusting the weights to minimize the loss. Deep learning and neural networks are powerful tools for solving complex machine learning problems. They have applications in various fields, including natural language processing and computer vision. Do you know how machine learning classification techniques work? Let's dive in and understand how they predict which category something belongs to. Machine learning classification models are a set of inputs called features to calculate a probability score for each possible class and predict a label that indicates the most likely class that an object belongs to. In image classification, digital images are used as features to train the model based on known image classes. The model is then trained to match the patterns in the pixel values to set of class labels. Azure Custom Vision Service in Microsoft Azure encapsulates common techniques used to train image classification models, making it easy to train a model and publish it as a software service with minimal knowledge of deep learning techniques. Ever wondered what object detection really is? Let's dive in and find out. Object detection is a form of computer vision that goes beyond image classification. It identifies individual objects within an image and provides the class of each object, the probability score of the classification, and the coordinates of a bounding box for each object. Image classification. While image classification categories images based on primary subject matter, object detection takes it a step further by classifying individual objects within the image and providing their location coordinates. It's a powerful tool in the world of computer vision. Azure AI Face Service. Let's dive in and explore its capabilities. The Azure AI Face Service provides AI algorithms that detect, recognize, and analyze human faces in images. This technology is crucial for various scenarios such as identification, touchless access control, and face blurring for privacy. You can access the Face service through a client library SDK or by calling the REST API directly. Plus, you can quickly try out its capabilities in your browser using Vision Studio. The service has a wide range of applications from verifying user identity to enabling touchless access control and face redaction for privacy protection. It's important to note that face service access is limited based on eligibility and usage criteria to support responsible AI principles. Also, data privacy and security are paramount. So be sure to review Microsoft policies on customer data. Text analysis. Let's get started with Azure AI language powerful features of text analysis. Azure AI languages text analysis features include named entity recognition, which identifies people, places, events, and more. It can even be customized to extract custom categories. The language detection capability can identify the language in which text is written, providing the language name, ISO 36391 language code, and a confidence score. The text analytics capabilities can evaluate text and return sentiment scores and labels for each sentence, useful for detecting positive and negative sentiment in various contexts. Key phrase extraction identifies the main points from text, providing a summary of the most important information. Ready to explore the world of text analysis? Upgrade to Microsoft Edge and unlock the potential of Azure AI language today. Welcome to a quick guide on conversational language understanding. To work with conversational language understanding, you need to take into account three core concepts: utterances, entities, and intents. An utterance is an example of something a user might say and which your application must interpret. For example, when using a home automation system, a user might use the following: switch the fan on or turn on the light. An entity is an item to which an utterance reference. For example, fan and a light are entities in the utterances. Switch the fan on and turn on the light. An intent represents the purpose or goal expressed in a user's interference. For example, the intent for the utterances switch the fan on and turn on the light is to turn a device on. After defining the entities and intents with sample utterances in your conversational language understanding application, you can train a language model to predict intents and entities from user input, even if it doesn't match the sample utterances exactly. Let's dive into conversational language understanding in Azure. Let's get started with Azure AI language powerful feature that allows you to author a language model and use it for predictions. To begin, you will define entities, intents, and utterances as a part of authoring a model. This step sets the foundation for generating predictions and creating a robust language understanding model. Once the model is defined, the next step is training. This process involves using sample utterances to teach the model to recognize natural language expressions and match them to probable intents and entities. Training and testing is an interactive process, ensuring the model is fine-tuned for accuracy. After successful training and testing, it's time to publish your conversational language understanding application to a prediction resource for consumption. Client applications can then connect to the endpoint and submit user input to receive predicted intents and entities. With Azure AI languages, conversational language understanding, you can build apps with industry leading natural language understanding capabilities without machine learning expertise. So get started today and unlock the power of conversational language understanding in Azure. Let's explore translation in Azure. Let's dive in and discover the powerful AI service Microsoft provides for text and speech translation. Azure AI Translator supports text-to-text translation between more than 60 languages. It uses a neural machine translation model for more accurate and complete translations. Plus, you can fine-tune results with optional configurations like profanity filtering and selective translation. With Azure AI Speech, you can transcribe speech to text, generate spoken audio from text, and even translate speech in real time. This service supports over 60 languages and enables scenarios like real-time closed captioning and two-way translation of spoken conversation. Get started with Azure AI Translated and Azure AI Speech to unlock a world of multilingual possibilities in your applications and solutions. As you have successfully finished the crash course, let's dive into some of the real exam question and answers from AI 900 Microsoft Azure AI Fundamentals. So these question answers are also available to download from shapingpixel.com website. The full link will be in the description. And before going to the question and answers, we request you to kindly subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're not already a subscriber. So let's dive into these real exam questions. Question number one, you build a machine learning model by using the automated machine learning user interface. You need to ensure that the model meets the Microsoft transparency principle for responsible AI. What should you do? And we have four options. Option A, set validation type to auto. Option B, enable explain best model. Option C, set primary metric to accuracy. And option D, set max concurrent iterations to 0. So the right answer here is option B, enable explain best model. So most businesses run on trust, and being able to open the ML black box helps build transparency and trust. In heavily regulated industries like healthcare and banking, it is critical to comply with regulations and best practices. One key aspect of these is understanding the relationship between input variables and model output. Knowing both the magnitude and direction of the impact each feature has on the predicted value helps better understand and explain the model. With model explainability, we enable you to understand feature importance as part of automated ML runs. Question number two, which of the following are examples of data transformation modules available in Azure Machine Learning Designer? Choose two answers. And we have four: split data, clean missing data, import data, dataset. So the right answer here is option A and option B, split data, clean missing data. All of the options listed are examples of modules available in Azure Machine Learning Designer. However, only split data and clean missing data are data transformation modules. Data transformation modules are used to prepare data before a machine learning experiment. Common machine learning data preparation steps include cleaning missing data, normalizing data, and converting data from one file format to another. Question number three. A company employs a team of customer service agents to provide telephone and email support to customers. The company develops a web chat bot to provide automated answers to common customer queries. Which benefits, which business benefit should the company expect as a result of creating the web chat bot solution?
And we have three options. Option A, increased sales. Option B, a reduced workload for the customer service agents. And option C, improved product quality reliability. So the right answer here is option B, a reduced workload for the customer service agents. Agent workload will be reduced by chatbot since it can answer simple questions. Question number 4. You are working on an application that supports an automation line in a factory. Several sensors provide data about equipment health, and you would like to use these data in real time to identify potential line issues quickly. Which Azure Cognitive Service would be a good choice to help quickly identify issues based on your sensor data? And we have four options. Option A, anomaly detector. Option B, Azure monitor. Option C, form recognizer. And option D, Azure auto machine learning. So the right answer here is option A, anomaly detector. Anomaly detector is an Azure Cognitive Service API that is used to identify anomalies in time series data. This service helps identify problems early and detect issues that might otherwise be too difficult to see without automated analysis. Question number 5. For a machine learning progress, how should you split data for training and evaluation? And we have four options. Option A, use features for training and labels for evaluation. Option B, randomly split the data into rows for training and rows for evaluation. Option C, use labels for training and features for evaluations. And option D, randomly split the data into columns for training and columns for evaluation. So the right answer here is option B, randomly split the data into rows for training and rows for evaluation. The split data module is particularly useful when you need to separate data into training and testing sets. Use the split rows option if you want to divide the data into two parts. You can specify the percentage of data to put in each split, but by default the data is divided 50-50. You can also randomize a selection of rows in each group and use stratified sampling. Question number 6. You are using Azure Machine Learning to develop a machine learning model to predict fuel efficiency for automobiles manufactured between 2000 and 2010. Which machine learning algorithm would be the best choice for building this model? And we have four options: regression, classification, clustering, reinforcement learning. So the right answer here is option A, regression. In this scenario, you are predicting a single number, fuel efficiency. For problems that predict a continuous value, you would use a regression algorithm to build your model. Classification algorithms are used to predict discrete values or classes, and clustering algorithms help uncover patterns and organize data into associated clusters. Question number 7. You are developing a model to predict events by using classification. You have a confusion matrix for the model scored on test data as shown in the following exhibit. Use the drop-down menus to select the answer choice that completes each statement based on the information presented in the graphic. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. So there are correctly predicted positives and we have 4 options, and there are false negatives, we have 4 options. So the right answers here is The first one is 11, and for the second one it's 1033. Question number 8. A customer support team would like to implement an interactive chat window on their product website that uses artificial intelligence to answer customer questions. The team already has extensive frequently asked questions documentation available. Which Azure AI solution should these team use to build a chat program from their existing frequently asked question documentation? And we have four options. Option A, Q&A Maker plus Azure Bot Service. Option B, LUIS, which is Language Understanding plus Azure Functions. Option C, Test Analytics plus Azure Bot Service. And option D, Form Recognizer plus Azure Functions. So the right answer here is option A, Q&A Maker plus Azure Bot Service. In this case, the correct combination is to use Azure Q&A Maker as the knowledge base to power a bot using Azure Bot Service and build a web chatbot. It is also possible to use language understanding to power a bot instead of Q&A Maker or in addition to Q&A Maker. However, since the organization will use the bot to answer questions from an existing frequently asked questions database, Q&A Maker is the correct choice. Question number 9. For each of the following statements, select yes if the statement is true, otherwise select no. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. And the following statements are: forecasting housing prices based on historical data is an example of anomaly detection. Identifying suspicious sign-ins by looking for deviations from usual patterns is an example of anomaly detection. Predicting whether a patient will develop diabetics based on the patient's medical history is an example of anomaly detection. So the right statements are: the first statement is false, second statement is true, and the third statement is false. Anomaly detection encompasses many important tasks in machine learning: identifying transactions that are potentially fraudulent, learning patterns that indicate that a network intrusion has occurred, finding abnormal clusters of patients, checking values entered into a system. Question number 10. To complete the sentence, select the appropriate option in the answer area. The handling of unusual or missing values provided to an AI system is a consideration of the Microsoft principles for responsible AI. And we have four options: inclusiveness, privacy and security, reliability and safety, transparency. So the right option here is reliability and safety. AI systems need to be reliable and safe in order to be trusted. It is important for a system to perform as it was originally designed and for it to respond safely to new situations. Its inherent resilience should resist intended or unintended manipulations. Rigorous testing and validation should be established for operating conditions to ensure that the system responds safely to edge cases. An A to B testing and champion challenger methods should be integrated into the evaluation process. An AI system's performance can degrade over time, so a robust monitoring and model tracking process needs to be established to reactively and proactively measure the model's performance and retain it as necessary to modernize it. Question number 11. You are training an Azure language understanding model.
and you plan to use with an interactive application that responds to user questions or commands. For example, a user may ask, "What is the temperature in Boston today?" What is the term used to describe what the user might say to the application? In this case, asking about the temperature in Boston. And we have four options: utterance, entity, intent, key phrase. So the right answer here is option A, utterance. The term utterance is used to describe the user's question or command, that is the input sent to a LUIS endpoint for analysis. Question number 12. Match the types of AI workloads to the appropriate scenarios. To answer, drag the appropriate workload type from the column on the left to its scenarios on the right. Each workload type may be used once, more than once, or not at all. So each correct selection is worth 1 point.
Workload types: anomaly detection, computer vision, conversational AI, knowledge mining, natural language processing. So the right workload type for an automated chat to answer questions about refunds and exchange. So the right workload is conversational AI, determining whether a photo contains a person. So the right answer will be computer vision, determining whether a review is positive or negative, which is natural language processing. A computer vision image analysis service can extract a wide variety of visual features from your images. For example, it can determine whether an image contains adult content, find specific brands or objects, or find human faces. Natural language processing is used for tasks such as sentiment analysis, topic detection, language detection, key phrase extraction, and document categorization.
Question number 13. You are designing an AI system that empowers everyone, including people who have hearing, visual, and other impairments. This is an example of which Microsoft guiding principle for responsible AI. And we have four options: fairness, inclusiveness, reliability and safety, accountability. So the right answer here is option B, inclusiveness. Inclusiveness. At Microsoft, we firmly believe everyone should benefit from intelligent technology, meaning it must incorporate and address a broad range of human needs and experiences. For the 1 billion people with disabilities around the world, AI technologies can be a game changer. Question number 14. You are working on an application that uses computer vision to identify unwanted plant species growing alongside crops in farmers' fields. Which Azure Cognitive Service is the best choice to help you train your image classification model? And we have four options: custom vision, computer vision, anomaly detector, Azure machine learning clustering analysis. So the right answer here is option A, custom vision. Though Azure computer vision services can identify a wide range of features in images, it will not work well if you need to identify domain specific features. Instead, Azure Custom Vision Service is a no-code option that you can use to train and deploy a custom image classification model. Question number 15. Match the Microsoft guiding principles for responsible AI to the appropriate descriptions. To answer, drag the appropriate principle from the column on the left to its description on the right. Each principle may be used once, more than once, or not at all. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. So the principles are accountability, fairness, inclusiveness, privacy and security, reliability and safety. So the right principle for the following statements are: reliability and safety ensure that AI systems operate as they were originally designed, respond to unanticipated conditions, and resist harmful manipulation. Accountability for implementing processes to ensure that decisions made by AI systems can be overridden by humans. Privacy and security provide consumers with information and controls over the collection, use, and storage of their data. So reliability and safety to build trust, it's critical that AI systems operate reliable, safely, and consistently under normal circumstances and in unexpected conditions. These systems should be able to operate as they were originally designed, respond safely to anticipated conditions, and resist harmful manipulations. Accountability, the people who design and deploy AI systems must be accountable for how their systems operate. Organizations should draw upon industry standards to develop accountability norms. These norms can ensure that AI systems are not the final authority on any decisions that impacts people's lives, and that humans maintain meaningful control over otherwise highly autonomous AI systems. Privacy and security. As AI becomes more prevalent, protecting privacy and securing important personal and business information is becoming more critical and complex. These AI privacy and data security issues require especially close attention because access to data is essential for AI systems to make accurate and informed predictions and decisions about people. AI systems must compile with privacy laws that require transparency about the collection, use, and storage of data and mandate that consumers have appropriate controls to choose how their data is used. Question number 16. To complete the sentence, select the appropriate option in the answer area. When developing an AI system for self-driving cars, the Microsoft Dash principle for responsible AI should be applied to ensure consistent operation of the system during unexpected circumstances. And we have four options. So the right answer here is option C, reliability and safety. To build trust, it's critical that AI systems operate reliably, safely, and consistently under normal circumstances and in unexpected conditions. These systems should be able to operate as they were originally designed, respond safely to unanticipated conditions, and resist harmful manipulations. Question number 17. You plan to integrate Azure Q&A Maker with Azure Bot Services to build a conversational AI system to help answer user questions. What information do you need to configure a new Azure bot to connect with your Q&A knowledge base? Choose three answers. And we have four options. Option A, Q&A authorization key. Option B, Q&A endpoint host name. Option C, Q&A knowledge base ID. And option D, Q&A app service name. So the right answer here is option A, B, and option C. To configure a new Azure bot and connect with your Q&A knowledge base, you will need Q&A authorization key, Q&A endpoint hostname, Q&A knowledge base ID. Question number 18. You are building an AI system. Which task should you include to ensure that the service meets the Microsoft transparency principle for responsible AI? And we have four options. Option A, ensure that all visuals have an associated text that can be read by a screen reader. Option B, enable outscaling to ensure that a service scales based on demand. Option C, provide documentation to help developers debug code. Option D, ensure that training dataset is representative of the population. So the right answer here is option C. Provide documentation to help the developers debug code. Achieving transparency helps the team to understand the data and algorithms used to train the model, what transformation logic was applied to the data, the final model generated, and its associated assets. This information offers insights about how the model was created, which allows to be reproduced in a transparent way. Snapshots within Azure Machine Learning Spaceworks support transparency by recording or returning all training related assets and metrics involved in the experiment. Question number 19. You have been given a data set that is unlabeled and includes detailed customer information. You would like to use Azure Machine Learning to uncover data patterns and groupings. Which machine learning algorithm is the best choice? And we have four options: clustering, classification, regression, reinforcement learning. So the right answer here is option A, clustering. So this is an example of a clustering machine learning problem. Clustering algorithms are an example of unsupervised machine learning. You use clustering analysis to uncover patterns in your data and when you are working with unlabeled data. You would use clustering to answer a question like, how is this data organized? Question number 20. Match the types of AI workloads to the appropriate scenarios. To answer, drag the appropriate workload type from the column on the left to its scenario on the right. Each workload type may be used once, more than once, or not at all. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. So workload types we have anomaly detection, computer vision, machine learning, regression, natural language processing. So the right workload type for the statements are computer vision, identify handwritten letters, natural language processing, we have predict the sentiment of a social media post, anomaly detection, identify a fraudulent credit card payment, machine learning regression, predict next month's toy sales. So question number 21. You're writing an application that analyzes customer product reviews and flags reviews that have a negative sentiment. Which Azure Cognitive Service would you use to provide sentiment analysis and mark text as positive, negative, or neutral? We have four options. Option A, Text Analytics API. Option B, Language Understanding. Option C, Speech Translation. And option D, Content Moderator. So the right answer here is option A, Text Analytics API. The Text Analytics API has the ability to take an input text document and return the predicted author sentiment, positive, negative, or neutral. Question number 22. Your company is exploring the use of voice recognition technologies in its smart home devices. The company wants to identify any barriers that might unintentionally leave out specific user groups. These are an example of which Microsoft guiding principle for responsible AI. And we have four options: accountability, fairness, inclusiveness, privacy, and security. So the right answer here is option C, inclusiveness.
So inclusiveness mandates that AI should consider all human races and experiences. And inclusive design practices can help developers to understand and address potential barriers that could unintentionally exclude people. Where possible, speech to text, text to speech, and visual recognition technology should be used to empower people with hearing, visual, and other impairments. Question number 23. What are three Microsoft guiding principles for responsible AI? Each correct answer represents a complete solution. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. And we have the following six options: knowledgeability, decisiveness, inclusiveness, fairness, optionateness, reliability, and safety. So the right answer here is option C, D, and F. Inclusiveness, fairness, reliability, and safety. Question number 24. To complete the sentence, select the appropriate option in the answer area. Returning a bounding box that indicates the location of a vehicle in an image is an example of, and we have the following four options. So the right answer here is object detection. Object detection is similar to tagging, but the API returns the bounding box coordinates for each object found in the image. For example, if an image contains a dog, cat, and person, the detect operation will list those objects with their coordinates in the image. You can use this functionality to process the relationships between the objects in an image. It also lets you determine whether there are multiple instances of the same object in an image. Question number 25. Which of the following types of machine learning problems are supported with Azure Automated Machine Learning, AutoML? Choose three answers. And we have the following four options: regression, classification, time series forecasting, conversational AI. So the right answer here is option A, B, and C. Azure AutoML supports finding the best regression, classification, and time series forecasting models. When you configure an AutoML experiment, you will need to specify which of these types of machine learning problems you are trying to solve. Question number 26. To complete the sentence, select the appropriate option in the answer area. Dash is used to generate additional features. And we have the following four options. So the right answer here is feature engineering. Feature engineering is used to generate additional features. Feature engineering is applied first to generate additional features, and then feature selection is done to eliminate irrelevant, redundant, or highly correlated features. Question number 27. You run a charity event that involves posting photos of people wearing sunglasses on Twitter. You need to ensure that you only retweet photos that meet the following requirements: include one or more faces, contain at least one person wearing sunglasses. What should you use to analyze the images? And you have the following four options. Option A, the verify operation in the face service. Option B, the detect operation in the face service. Option C, the describe image operation in the computer vision service.
Option D, the analyze image operation in the computer vision service. So the right answer here is option B, the detect operation in the face service. Face detection is required as the first step in all the other scenarios. The detect API detects human faces in an image and returns the rectangle coordinates of their locations. It also returns a unique ID that represents the stored face data. This is used in later operations to identify or verify faces. Optionally, face detection can extract a set of face related attributes such as head pose, age, emotion, facial hair, and glasses. These attributes are general predictions, not actual classifications. Some attributes are useful to ensure that your application is getting high quality face data when users add themselves to face service. For example, your application could advise users to take off their sunglasses if they're wearing sunglasses. Question number 28. Which of the following statements are true about the data used to train and evaluate a machine learning model? And we have four options. Option A, you should split the data set into two data sets. One data set is used to train the model and the other data set is to evaluate the model. Option B, you should always use the same data to evaluate the model that you use to train it. Option C, the only time you need to split a data set into training and test sets is when using a regression algorithm. Option D, when splitting a dataset into training and test datasets, the data should remain in order with the first 70 to 80% of the data included in the training dataset and the remaining rows in the test dataset. So the right answers are option A. You should split the dataset into two datasets. One dataset is used to train the model and the other dataset to evaluate the model. So when training and evaluating a new machine learning model, it is important to split the dataset into a training and test dataset. The training dataset is used to train the model and the test dataset is used to evaluate the model. When splitting the data, the rows in the dataset should be selected randomly for the split operation. As a rule of thumb, 70 to 80% of the data goes to the training dataset, with the remaining data added to the test datasets. Question number 29. When you design an AI system to access whether loans should be approved, the factors used to make the decision should be explained. This is an example of which Microsoft guiding principle for responsible AI. And we have four options: transparency, inclusiveness, fairness, privacy, and security. So the right answer here is option A, transparency. Achieving transparency helps the team to understand the data and algorithm used to train the model, what transformation logic was applied to the data, the final model generated and its associated assets. These information offers insights about how the model was created, which allows it to be reproduced in a transparent way. So incorrect answers: option B, inclusiveness mandates that AI should consider all human races and experiences, and inclusive design practices can help developers to understand and address potential barriers that could unintentionally exclude people. Where possible, speech to text, text to speech, and visual recognition technology should be used to empower people with hearing, visual, and other impairments. Option C, fairness is a core ethical principle that all humans aim to understand and apply. This principle is even more important than AI systems are being developed. Key checks and balances need to make sure that the system's decisions don't discriminate on run a gender, race, sexual orientation, or religion bias towards a group or individual. Option D,
A data holder is obligated to protect the data in an AI system, and privacy and security are an integral part of the system. Personal needs to be executed, and it should be accessed in a way that doesn't compromise an individual's privacy. Question number 30. For each of the following statements, select yes if the statement is true, otherwise select no. So the statements are: providing an explanation of the outcome of a credit loan application is an example of the Microsoft transparency principle for responsible AI. A triage bot that prioritizes insurance claims based on injuries is an example of the Microsoft reliability and safety principle for responsible AI. An AI solution that is offered at different prices for different sales territories is an example of the Microsoft inclusiveness principle for responsible AI. So the right answers are, so the first statement is true, and the second and third statements are false. So the first statement, achieving transparency helps the team to understand the data and algorithm used to train the model, what transformation logic was applied to the data, the final model generated and its associated assets. This information offers insights about how the model was created, which allows it to be reproduced in a transparent way. The statement 2, a data holder is obligated to protect the data in an AI system, and privacy and security are an integral part of this system. Personal needs to be secured, and it should be accessed in a way that doesn't compromise an individual's privacy. And for the third statement, it's false. Inclusiveness mandates that AI should consider all human races and experiences, and inclusive design practices can help developers to understand and address potential barriers that could unintentionally exclude people. Where possible, speech to text, text to speech, and visual recognition technology should be used to empower people with hearing, visual, and other impairments. Question number 31. Which of the following Azure Cognitive Services can be integrated with Azure Bot Services as the engine that recognizes user intent to create an interactive chatbot application? And we have four options. Option A, language understanding. Option B, custom vision. Option C, anomaly detector. And option D, text analytics. So the right answer here is option A, language understanding. When you create a bot using Azure Bot Services, you need an Azure Cognitive Services with natural language processing to understand and respond to user input. A simple solution would be to use Q&A maker that could be based on an existing frequently asked question knowledge base. However, if the user interaction goes beyond a simple question and answer conversation and should include understanding and processing commands, Q&A maker would not be the right choice. Instead, the language understanding service would be the best option to integrate with the chatbot. A LUIS service can extract intent and entities associated with the request action. Question number 32. Match the principles of responsible AI to appropriate requirements. To answer, drag the appropriate principles from the column on the left to its requirements on the right. Each principle may be used once, more than once, and not at all. You may need to drag the split bar between pans or scroll to view content. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. So the principles we have: fairness, privacy and security, reliability and safety, transparency. So the right options are: for fairness, the system must not discriminate based on gender, race. Privacy and security, for personal data must be visible only to approve. Transparency, automated decisions making process must be recorded so that approved users can identify why a decision was made.
Question number 33. You are creating a bot using Azure Bot Service with Q&A Maker as its knowledge base. Which of the statements regarding bot communication channels are correct? And we have four options. Option A, a web chat channel is automatically created for you when you create a bot. Option B, it is possible to send messages to and receive messages from a bot service using Microsoft Teams. Option C, communicating with the bot service through an email channel is not supported. Option D, a bot service can be associated with only one communication channel. So the right answer here is option A and option B. When you create a bot using Azure Bot Service, a web chat channel is automatically created for you. There are also many other channels that you can associate with your bot, including an email channel and a Microsoft Teams channel. A bot service can be associated with one or more communication channels. Question number 34. You plan to deploy an Azure machine learning model as a service that will be used by client applications. Which three processes should you perform in sequence before you deploy the model? To answer, move the appropriate process from the list of processes to the answer area and arrange them in the correct order. So the process we have: data encryption, model retraining, model training, data preparation, model evaluation. So the right order here is data preparation, model training, model evaluation. To question number 35, you are building an AI based app. You need to ensure that the app uses the principles for responsible AI. Which two principles should you follow? Each correct answer represents part of the solution. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. And we have four options. Option A, implement an agile software development methodology. Option B, implement a process of AI model validation as a part of the software review process. Option C, establish a risk governance committee that includes members of the legal team, members of the risk management team, and a privacy officer. Option D, prevent the disclosure of the use of AI-based algorithm for automated decision making. So the right answer here is option B and option C. Question number 36. When setting up an Azure AutoML experiment, which of the following configuration values are specified for the experiment? Select two answers. And we have the following four options. Option A primary metric used to compare the results of individual experiment runs. Option B, a list of blocked algorithms that should be excluded from the training runs. Option C, the host name where the best model from the experimental runs should be deployed. Option D, the maximum time allowed to run all experimental runs. So the right answer here is option A and option B. So when setting up an AutoML experiment, the primary metrics is the evaluation metrics by which each AutoML run is compared. The primary metric you choose will depend on the type of machine learning algorithm you are using. Regression algorithms use different primary metrics than classification algorithms. Also available for configuration while setting up an AutoML run is the list of blocked algorithms. With this list, you can explicitly specify a set of algorithms that AutoML will skip while running experiments to determine the best algorithm. For a complete list of configuration settings, see the AutoML product documentation.
Question number 37. To complete the sentence, select the appropriate option in the answer area. According to Microsoft Dash principles of responsible AI systems should not reflect biases from the data sets that are used to train the systems. The right answer here is fairness. According to Microsoft Fairness Principle of Responsible AI systems should not reflect biases from the data sets that are used to train the systems. Question number 38. Match the types of AI workloads to the appropriate scenarios. To answer, drag the appropriate workload type from the column on the left to its scenarios on the right. Each workload type may be used once, more than once, or not at all. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. So workload types we have anomaly detection, computer vision, knowledge mining, natural language processing. So the right workload types are knowledge mining, an automated chatbot to answer questions about refunds and exchanges. Computer vision, determining whether a photo contains a person. Natural language processing, determining whether a review is positive or negative. Question number 39. You are using Azure's computer vision service to suggest tags that describe features identified in an image. You are using the computer vision REST endpoint, and the JSON response includes one or more tags that have been identified. What other information is also included with each tag in the JSON response? And we have four options. Option A confidence score that indicates how likely the tag correctly matches the content in the image. Option B, a set of coordinates given by a bounding box that identifies the tag's location in the image. Option C, a URL that provides a full description of the tag. Option D, a count indicating how many times the tag is found in the image. So the right option here is option a confidence score that indicates how likely the tag correctly matches the content in the image. Each tag in the response includes the name of the tag and a confidence score that indicates how likely the tag correctly matches the content in the image. A confidence score is a number from 0 to 1, with values closer to 1 indicating high confidence that the tag correctly identifies features in the image. Tags do not include a bounding box to locate each feature. If location information is needed, use the Object Detection Computer Vision API instead. Question number 40. Match the machine learning task to the appropriate scenarios. To answer, drag the appropriate task from the column on the left to its scenarios on the right. Each task may be used once, more than once, or not at all. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. Learning types we have feature engineering, feature selection, model deployment, model evaluation, model training. So the right task for are model evaluation for examining the values of a confusion matrix, feature engineering, splitting a date into month, day, and year fields, feature selection, picking temperature and pressure to train a weather model. Question number 41. To complete the sentence, select the appropriate option in the answer area. Data values that influence the prediction of a model are called, and we have four options. So the right option here is features. Question number 42. You would like to have your web chatbot application support speech output. Which of the following channels would you need to configure for your bot service? We have four options: direct line channel, custom channel, voice channel, speech channel. So the right answer here is option A, direct line channel. You will need a direct line channel to support speech output for your web chatbot application. So question number 43. You have the predicted versus true chart shown in the following exhibit. Which type of model is the chart used to evaluate? And we have three options: classification, regression, clustering. So you can pause the video to have a look at the chart. So the right option here is option B, regression. So prediction versus true shows the relationship between a predicted value and its correlating true value for a regression problem. This graph can be used to measure performance of a model as the closer to the y is equals to x line the predicted values are, the better the accuracy of a predictive model. Question number 44. Which type of machine learning should you use to predict the number of gift cards that will be sold next month? And we have three options: classification, regression, clustering. So the right answer here is option B, regression. In the most basic sense, regression refers to prediction of a numeric target. Linear regression attempts to establish a linear relationship between one or more dependent variables and a numeric outcome or dependent variable. You use this module to define a linear regression method and then train a model using a labeled dataset. The trained model can then be used to make predictions. Question number 45. Which of the following statements best describes the characteristics of a classification model in Azure machine learning? Choose two answers. And we have four options. Option A, classification algorithms use labeled training data to build a model and predict the category of yet unseen data items. Option B, classification algorithms are an example of unsupervised machine learning. Option C, classification algorithms take unlabeled data and groups the data into two or more categories. Option D, classification algorithms can predict both binary and multi-class classification problems. So the right answer here is option A and option D. Classification algorithms use label training data to build a model and predict the category of unseen data items. Classification algorithms are an example of supervised learning and can predict either binary and multi-class classification problems. It is clustering algorithms and not classification algorithms take unlabeled data and groups the data into two or more categories. Question number 46. You have a data set that contains information about taxi journeys that occurred during a given period. You need to train a model to predict the fare of a taxi journey. What should you use as a feature? And we have four options. Option A, the number of taxi journeys in the dataset. Option B, the trip distance of individual taxi journeys. Option C, the fare of individual taxi journeys. Option D, the trip ID of individual taxi journeys. So the right answer here is option B, the trip distance of individual taxi journeys. The label is the column you want to predict. The identified features are the inputs you give the model to predict the label. Example, the provided dataset contains the following columns. Vendor ID, the ID of the taxi vendor is a feature.
Rate code. The rate type of the taxi trip is a feature. Passenger count. The number of passengers on the trip is a feature. Trip time in seconds. The amount of time the trip took. You want to predict the fare of the trip before the trip is completed. At that moment, you don't know how long the trip would take. Thus, the trip time is not a feature and you will exclude this column from the model. Trip distance. The distance of the trip is a feature. Payment type. The payment method, cash or credit card, is a feature. Fare amount. The total taxi fare paid is the label. Question number 47. You need to predict the sea level in meters for the next 10 years. Which type of machine learning should you use? We have three options: classification, regression, clustering. So the right answer here is option B, regression. In the most basic sense, regression refers to prediction of a numeric target. Linear regression attempts to establish a linear relationship between one or more dependent variables and a numeric outcome or dependent variable. Use this module to define a linear regression method and then train a model using a labeled dataset. The trained model can then be used to make predictions. Question number 48. What key piece of information do you need to call your Q&A maker service from a client application? And we have four options. Option A, the REST endpoint URL for your Q&A maker service. Option B, the global unique Q&A maker application name. Option C, the host name of the machine hosting your Q&A maker service. And option D, the region where your Q&A maker service is deployed. So the right answer here is option A, the REST endpoint URL for your Q&A maker service. After setting up and training Q&A maker, you will need the REST endpoint URL for your Q&A maker service. Question number 49. For each of the following statements, select yes if the statement is true, otherwise select no. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. So the statements are: automated machine learning is the process of automating the time-consuming, iterative tasks of machine learning model development. Automated machine learning can automatically infer the training data from the use case provided. Automated machine learning works by running multiple training iterations that are scored and ranked by the metrics you specify. Automated machine learning enables you to specify a dataset and will automatically understand which label to predict. So the right options are, so the first statement is true and the second one is false. The third statement is true and the fourth statement is false. Automated machine learning, also referred to as automated ML or auto ML, is the process of automating the time-consuming, iterative tasks of machine learning model development. It allows data scientists, analysts, and developers to build ML models with high scale, efficiency, and productivity, all while sustaining model quality. Statement number 3 is true. During training, Azure Machine Learning creates a number of pipelines in parallel that try different algorithms and parameters for you. The service iterates through ML algorithms paired with feature selections, where each iteration produces a model with a training score. The higher the score, the better the model is considered to fit your data. It will stop once it hits the exit criteria defined in the experiment. Statement 4 is false. Apply automated machine learning when you want Azure machine learning to train and tune a model for you using the target metric you specify. The label is the column you want to predict. Question number 50. To complete the sentence, select the appropriate option in the answer area. A banking system that predicts whether a loan will be repaid is an example of the dash type of machine learning. And we have three options. The right answer here is classification. Two-class classification provides the answer to simple two-choice questions such as yes and no or true or false. Question number 51. Dash occurs when a model matches training data so closely that it doesn't generalize well to other data. We have four options: underfitting, overfitting, drift, root mean squared error. So the right answer here is option B, overfitting. A common problem to be on the lookout for with any machine learning model is overfitting the data. Overfitting happens when the model performs very well on the training dataset but does not perform well with unseen test data. Question number 52. For each of the following statements, select yes if the statement is true, otherwise select no. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. So the statements are: labeling is the process of tagging training data with known values. You should evaluate a model by using the same data used to train the model. Accuracy is always the primary metric used to measure a model's performance. So the first statement is true and the second and third statements are false. In machine learning, if you have labeled data, that means your data is marked up or annotated to show the target, which is the answer you want your machine learning model to predict. In general, data labeling can refer to a task that include data tagging, annotation, classification, moderation, transcription, or processing. So the third statement is false. Accuracy is simply the proportion of correctly classified instances. It is usually the first metric you look at when evaluating a classifier. However, when the test data is unbalanced, or you are more interested in the performance on either one of the classes, accuracy doesn't really capture the effectiveness of a classifier. So question number 53. Which service should you use to extract text, key value pairs, and table data automatically from scanned documents? And we have four options: form recognizer, text analytics, language understanding, custom vision. So the right answer here is option A, form recognizer. Accelerate your business processes by automating information extraction. Form recognizer applies advanced machine learning to accurately extract text, key value pairs, and tables from documents. With just a few samples, Form Recognizer tailors its understanding to your documents, both on premises and in the cloud, turns forms into usable data at a fraction of the time and cost, so you can focus more time acting on the information rather than compiling it. Question number 54. Azure speech services can be used in a variety of applications. Which of the following correctly matches the use case with the appropriate speech service? Choose two answers. And we have the following four options. So the right answer here is option A and option B. Question number 55.
To complete the sentence, select the appropriate option in the answer area. The ability to extract subtotals and totals from a receipt is a capability of the dash service. And we have the following four options. So the right answer here is form recognizer. Accelerate your business processes by automating information extraction. Form recognizer applies advanced machine learning to accurately extract text, key value pairs, and tables from documents. With just a few samples, Form Recognizer tailors its understanding to your documents, both on-premises and in the cloud. Turn forms into usable data at a fraction of the time and cost, so you can focus more time acting on the information rather than compiling it. Question number 56. You use Azure Machine Learning Designer to publish an inference pipeline. Which two parameters should you use to access the web service? Each correct answer represents part of the solution. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. And we have the following four options. Option A, the model name. Option B, the training endpoint. Option C, the authentication key. And option D, the REST endpoint. So the right answer here is option C and option D. You can consume a published pipeline in the published pipelines page. Select a published pipeline and find the REST endpoint of it. To consume the pipeline, you need the REST endpoint for your service, the primary key for your service, question number 57. Which of the following features are supported by the Azure Text Analytics API? Choose two answers. And we have the following four options. Language detection, named entity recognition, speech to text to speech services, text identification in an image. So the right answers are option A and option B. The Azure Text Analytics API supports language detection and named entity recognition, along with several other features. Language detection is used to detect the language for a given text document. Named entity recognition can identify people, places, organizations, and quantities included in an input text document. The other features that are listed in the choice list are available with Azure Cognitive Services. Feature user intent extraction, service language understanding. Feature text to speech services, service text to speech service. Feature text identification in image, service computer vision, optical character recognition. Question number 58. To complete the sentence, select the appropriate option in the answer area. From Azure Machine Learning Designer to deploy a real-time inference pipeline as a service for others to consume, you must deploy the model to, and we have the following four options. So the right answer here is Azure Kubernetes Services, AKS. To perform real-time inferencing, you must deploy a pipeline as a real-time endpoint. Real-time endpoints must be deployed to an Azure Kubernetes service cluster. Question number 59. To complete the sentence, select the appropriate option in the answer area. Predicting how many hours of overtime a delivery person will work based on The number of order received is an example of, and we have the following three options: classification, clustering, regression. So the right answer here is regression. In the most basic sense, regression refers to prediction of a numeric target. Linear regression attempts to establish a linear relationship between one or more independent variable and a numeric outcome or dependent variable. You use this module to define a linear regression method and then train a model using a labeled dataset. The trained model can then be used to make predictions. Question number 60. You have just trained and published an Azure language understanding model. You plan to use the REST endpoint in your application to respond to user questions and commands. When you send a user question or command to the REST endpoint for your LUIS model, what information is included in the response? And we have the following four options: a list of intents with a confidence score. Option B, a list of potential utterances with a confidence score. Option C, a list of entities extracted from the input question command. Option D, the language of the input questions command. So the right answer here is option A and option C. The primary information included in a response from invoking a LUIS endpoint with a command or question as input is the top intent, a list of all intents, a list of entities extracted from the input question command. The confidence score assigned to each intent is a value from 0 to 1, with values closer to 1 indicating greater confidence that the intent was being correctly identified. For more information about the JSON response from invoking a LUIS endpoint, see the LUIS document. Question number 61. For each of the following statements, select yes if the statement is true, otherwise select no. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. So the statements are: Azure Machine Learning Designer provides a drag and drop visual canvas to build, test, and deploy machine learning models. Azure Machine Learning Designer enables you to save your progress as a pipeline draft. Azure Machine Learning Designer enables you to include custom JavaScript functions. So the first statement is true, and the second one is true, and the third statement is false. So the first statement is true. Azure Machine Learning Designer lets you visually connect datasets and modules on an interactive canvas to create machine learning models. Second statement is true. With the designer, you can connect the models to create a pipeline draft. As you edit a pipeline in the designer, your progress is saved as a pipeline draft. Third statement is false. Question number 62. You have the following dataset. You can pause the video to have a look at the dataset. You plan to use the dataset to train a model that will predict the house price categories of houses. What are household income and house price category? To answer, select the appropriate option in the answer area. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. The household income, we have two options, a feature, a label. House price category, we have two options, a feature, a label. So the right options are household income, a feature, and house price category, a label. Question number 63. To complete the sentence, select the appropriate option in the answer area. Azure Machine Learning Designer lets you create machine learning models by, and we have the following four options. So the right answer here is adding and connecting modules on a visual canvas. Question number 64. You're working on an application that uses Azure Machine Learning to predict the correct medication and dosage for a patient based on their symptoms. The application must undergo rigorous testing and validation before product launch to ensure patients are given the proper medication. Which responsible AI practice is addressed with proper testing and validation? And we have the following four options. Option A, reliability and safety. Option B, continuous improvement. Option C, accountability. And option D, inclusiveness. So the right answer here is option A, reliability and safety. Properly testing and validating an AI product will ensure that it performs reliably and safely. Question number 65. For each of the following statements, select yes if the statement is true, otherwise select no. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. And we have the following three statements. Automated machine learning provides you with the ability to include custom Python scripts in a training pipeline. Automated machine learning implements machine learning solutions without the need for programming experience. Automated machine learning provides you with the ability to visually connect datasets and modules on an interactive canvas. So the first statement is false, the second one is true, and the third statement is false. Question number 66. A medical research project uses a large anonymized dataset of brain scan images that are characterized into predefined brain hemorrhage types. You need to use machine learning to support early detection of the different brain hemorrhages types in the images before the images are reviewed by a person. This is an example of which type of machine learning. And we have the following three options: clustering, regression, classification. So the right answer here is option C, classification. Question number 67. Which Azure machine learning feature offers the ability to build and deploy no-code predictive models using a drag and drop interface? And we have the following four options: Azure Machine Learning Designer, Azure Automated ML, Text Analytics, Q&A Maker. So the right answer here is option A, Azure Machine Learning Designer. Azure Machine Learning Designer offers the ability to build and deploy no-code predictive models using a drag and drop interface. Question number 68. When training a model, why should you randomly split the rows into separate subsets? And we have the following three options. Option A, to train the model twice to attain better accuracy. Option B, to train multiple models simultaneously to attain better performance. Option C, to test the model by using data that was not used to train the model. So the right answer here is option C, to test the model by using data that was not used to train the model. Question number 69. You need to predict the income range of a given customer by using the following dataset. You can pause the video to have a look at the dataset. Which two fields should you use as features? Each correct answer represents a complete solution. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. We have the following five options: education level, last name, age, income range, first name. So the right options are option A and C, education level, age. First name, last name, age, and education level are features. Income range is a label. First name and last name are irrelevant in that they have no bearing on income. Age and education level are the features you should use. Question number 70. Which of the following application features uses natural language processing, NLP? Choose two answers. And we have the following four options. Option A, analyze written text and highlight key phrases. Option B, translate text from one language to another. Option C, translate a handwritten note contained in an image into text. Option D, locate text that is included in an image. So the right answer here is option A and option B. The following features use natural language processing: translate text from one language to another, analyze written text and highlight key phrases. The other two features do not involve NLP. Instead, these features use optical character recognition and involve identifying text within an image. Question number 71. You are building a tool that will process images from retail stores and identify the products of competitors. The solution will use a custom model. Which Azure Cognitive Services service should you use? And we have the following four options: custom vision, form recognizer, face, computer vision. So the right answer here is option A, custom vision. Question number 72. For each of the following statements, select yes if the statement is true, otherwise select no. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. Organizing documents into groups based on similarities of the text contained in the documents is an example of clustering. Grouping similar patients based on symptoms and diagnostic test results is an example of clustering. Predicting whether a person will develop mild, moderate, or severe allergy symptoms based on pollen count is an example of clustering. So the right options are, so the first two statements are true and the third statement is false. Clustering is a machine learning task that is used to group instances of data into clusters that contain similar characteristics. Clustering can also be used to identify relationships in a dataset. Regression is a machine learning task that is used to predict the value of the label from a set of related features. Question number 73. Which statement about Azure automated machine learning is true? Choose two answers. And we have the following four options. Option A, AutoML is used to automatically select the best machine learning algorithm for your dataset. Option B, you can choose to use either the Python SDK or a no-code user interface to build an AutoML experiment. Option C, in order to use AutoML,
Developers must have a strong understanding of various machine learning algorithms. Option D, an AutoML will not perform a train test split operation. You must provide both a train and test dataset for an AutoML experiment. So the right options are option A and option B. Azure AutoML provides a no-code option to select the best machine learning algorithm for your dataset automatically. To use AutoML, users do not need to have a strong background in machine learning. AutoML will automatically split your data into the appropriate train and test datasets needed to run and evaluate each experiment. So question number 74. For each of the following statements, select yes if the statement is true, otherwise select no. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. And you have the following three statements. A validation set includes the set of input examples that you will be used to train a mode. A validation set can be used to determine how well a model predicts labels. A validation set can be used to verify that all the training data was used to train the model. So the right options here are, so the first statement is false, the second statement is true, and the third statement is false. The validation dataset is different from the test dataset that is held back from the training of the model. And statement true, 2 is true. A validation dataset is a sample of data that is used to give an estimate of model skill while turning models hyperparameters. The third statement is false. The test dataset, not the validation set used for this. The test dataset is a sample of data used to provide an unbiased evaluation of a final model fit on the training dataset. Question number 75. What are two metrics that you can use to evaluate a regression model? Each correct answer represents a complete solution. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. And we have the following 5 options: coefficient of determination, F1 score, root mean squared error, area under curve, balanced accuracy. So the right answer here is option A and option C. Option A, R squared. Our coefficient of determination represents the predictive power of the model as a value between INF and 1.00.1.00, means there is a perfect fit and the fit can be arbitrarily poor, so the scores can be negative. Option C, RMS loss or root mean squared error measures the difference between values predicted by a model and the values observed from the environment that is being modeled. So incorrect answers: option B, F1 score, also known as balanced F score or F measure, is used to evaluate a classification model. Option D, AUC, ROC or area under the curve is used to evaluate a classification model. Question number 76. You are using Azure Machine Learning Designer to train and evaluate a machine learning model. You cannot find the built-in model to complete a data transformation step needed to complete your workflow. Which of the following option is the best choice for you to complete the required data transformation? And we have the following 4 options. Option A, use the execute Python script model with custom Python code written to perform the data transformation. Option B, use Azure AutoML instead of Azure Machine Learning Designer. Option C, cleanse and transform the training data before importing into Azure Machine Learning Designer. Option D, Build your training model using the Azure Machine Learning APIs instead of Azure Machine Learning Designer. So the right option here is option A. Use the execute Python script model with custom Python code written to perform the data transformation. Although Azure Machine Learning Designer has many built-in modules for building no-code machine learning workflows, if there is a situation where custom code is needed, there are two modules you can use: execute Python script, execute R script. Question number 77. To complete the sentence, select the appropriate option in the answer area. Predicting how many vehicles will travel across a bridge on a given day is an example of, and we have the following three options: classification, clustering, regression. So the right option here is regression. Regression is a machine learning task that is used to predict the value of the label from a set of related features. Question number 78. You need to use Azure Machine Learning Designer to build a model that will predict automobile prices. Which type of module should you use to complete the model? To answer, drag the appropriate models to the correct locations. Each module may be used once, more than once, or not at all. You may need to drag the split bar between pans or scroll to view content. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. So we have the following modules: convert to CSV, k-means clustering, linear regression, split data, select columns in dataset, summarize data. So the right options are select columns in dataset, split data, linear regression. Question number 79. Which type of machine learning should you use to identify groups of people who have similar purchasing habits? And we have the following three options: classification, regression, clustering. So the right option here is option C, clustering. Clustering is a machine learning task that is used to group instances of data into clusters that contain similar characteristics. Clustering can also be used to identify relationships in a data set.
Question number 80. When using Azure Cognitive Services, which of the following is not a common computer vision task? And we have four options. Option A, translate text found in an image from one language to another. Option B, detect human faces within an image. Option C, detect handwritten text within an image. And option D, classify an image based on what the image contains. So the right answer here is option A. While it is possible to detect text in an image, translating the text from one language to another is not a computer vision task. It is possible to translate text from one language to another using the translator service. Question number 81. To complete the sentence, select the appropriate option in the answer area. Dash models can be used to predict the sale price of actioned items. So the right answer here is regression. Regression is a machine learning task that is used to predict the value of the label from a set of related features. Question number 82. Which metric can you use to evaluate a classification model? And we have four options: true positive rate, mean absolute error, coefficient of determination, root mean squared error. So the right answer here is option A, true positive rate. What does a good model look like? An ROC curve that approaches the top left corner with 100% true positive rate and 0% false positive rate will be the best model. A random model would display as a flat line from the bottom left to the top right corner. Worse than random would dip below the y is equals to x line. Question number 83. You work for an analytics company and are working on an application to detect credit card fraud. You want to create a model to predict whether or not a particular credit card transaction is fraudulent. You have historical transactions data to build your model. Which Azure service should you use to build this model? And we have four options. Option A, Azure Machine Learning. Option B, Anomaly Detection. Option C, Text Analytics. And option D, Form Recognizer. So the right answer here is option A, Azure Machine Learning. The following services are part of Azure Cognitive Services: Form Recognizer, Text Analytics, and Anomaly Detection. Cognitive services allow developers to build AI-based applications without significant AI, machine learning, or data science skills. In a way, you can consider cognitive services are machine learning AS, machine learning as a service. This type of pre-built services is not what is needed in the scenario presented. Instead, you have been asked to build a custom prediction model based on your particular dataset. For this, you would use Azure Machine Learning. There are no code options available to help build models, even if you do not have significant machine learning knowledge. Question number 84. Which two components can you drag onto a canvas in Azure Machine Learning Designer? Each correct answer represents a complete solution. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. And we have the following four options: dataset, compute, pipeline, module. So the right answer here is option A and option D, dataset and module. You can drag and drop datasets and modules onto the canvas. Question number 85. You need to create a training dataset and validation dataset from an existing dataset. Which module in the Azure Machine Learning Designer should you use? And we have the following four options: select columns in dataset, add rows, split data, join data. So the right answer here is option C, split data. A common way of evaluating a model is to divide the data into a training and test set by using split data, and then validate the model on the training data. Use the split data module to divide a dataset into two distinct sets. The Studio currently supports training validation data splits. Question number 86. Which of the following Azure Cognitive Services would you choose to help build a conversational client application using artificial intelligence to answer customer questions? And we have the following four options: Q&A Maker, Text Analytics, Form Recognizer, Content Moderator. So the right answer here is option A, Q&A Maker. If you are If you are would like to build a bot that pulls information from existing frequently asked question documents to answer user questions, then Q&A Make is the right choice to build your bot's knowledge base. Question number 87. Match the types of machine learning to the appropriate scenarios. To answer, drag the appropriate machine learning type from the column on the left to its scenario on the right. Each machine learning type may be used once, more than once, or not at all. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. So learning types we have classification, clustering, regression. So the right learning type for the statements are regression, predict how many minutes late a flight will arrive based on the amount of snowfall at an airport. Clustering, segment customers into different groups to support a marketing department. Classification, predict whether a student will complete a university course. So statement 1, regression. In the most basic sense, regression refers to prediction of a numeric target. Linear regression attempts to establish a linear relationship between one or more independent variables and a numeric outcome or dependent variable. You use this module to define a linear regression method and then train a model using a labeled dataset. The trained model can then be used to make predictions. Clustering. Clustering in machine learning is a method of grouping data points into similar clusters. It is also called segmentation. Over the years, many clustering algorithms have been developed. Almost all clustering algorithms use the features of individual items to find similar items. For example, you might apply clustering to find similar people by demographics. You might use clustering with text analysis to group sentences with similar topics or sentiment. Statement 3, classification. Two-class classification provides the answer to simple two-choice questions such as yes, no, or true or false. Question number 88. To complete the sentence, select the appropriate option in the answer area. A dash is the calculated probability of a correct image classification. And we have the following four options. So the right option here is accuracy. The accuracy is the calculated probability of a correct image classification. Question number 89. Using Azure Machine Learning Designer, you have just developed and deployed a machine learning model to predict a used car's price. Given key pieces of information about the car, you are now ready to call the deployed model for predictions from an application you are building. What information do you need to make a price prediction using the deployed model? Choose two answers. And we have the following four options. Option A, the REST endpoint URL for the deployed model. Option B, authentication key. And option C, resource group ID. And option D, inference cluster name. So the right answer here is option A and option B. To invoke a deployed machine learning model, you will need the REST endpoint URL for the deployed model and the authentication key. Question number 90. To complete the sentence, select the appropriate option in the answer area. Ensuring an AI system does not provide a prediction when important fields contain unusual or missing values is dash principle for responsible AI. So the right answer here is reliability and safety. Question number 91. Which statements about Azure Speech Services capabilities are true? Choose two answers. And we have the following four options. Option A, the speech to text service cannot recognize or moderate profanity in an input audio file. Option B, the speech to text API provides a batch transcript API that can be used to batch process larger audio files. And option C, when using the text to speech API, you can configure speech settings such as speed and volume. And option D, speech translation is available through both the SDK and the REST API. So the right answer here is option B and option C. The speech to text service can recognize profanity in an input audio file, and you can choose to keep it as is, mask it, or remove it. The speech to text service offers a real time synchronous API suitable for short audio files or an asynchronous batch API that can be used to process larger input files. Both the text to speech and speech to text API support multiple languages. When using the text to speech service, you can use the speech synthesis markup language to define the synthesized speech settings for things like speaker volume and speed. Finally, the speech translation service does not provide a REST API. It is only available with a SDK. Question number 92. To complete the sentence, select the appropriate option in the answer area. Ensuring that the numeric variables in training data are on a similar scale is an example of, and we have the following four options. So the right answer here is feature selection. So ensuring that the numerical variables in training data are on similar scale is an example of feature selection. Question number 93. Which term completes the following definition of an Azure machine learning concept? A dash is a workflow you build to manage the data and modules used to train and evaluate a machine learning model. And we have the following four options: pipeline, experiment, Jupyter Notebook, workspace. So the right answer here is option A, pipeline. In Azure Machine Learning, a pipeline is a workflow you build to manage the data and modules used to train and evaluate a machine learning model. Question number 94. To complete the sentence, select the appropriate option in the answer area. Assigning classes to images before training a classification model is an example of, and we have the following four options. So the right answer here is labeling. Assigning classes to images before training a classification model is an example of labeling. Question number 95. Which of the following types of applications are a common consumer of Azure Cognitive Services Q&A Maker? Choose two answers. And we have the following four options: social media applications, chatbots, language translation applications, applications used to review and moderate content, text and audio. So the right answer here is option A and option B. Q&A Maker can be used as a knowledge base when building conversational clients often associated with social media applications and chatbots. Question number 96. You have an Azure machine learning model that predicts product quality. The model has a training dataset that contains 50,000 records. A sample of the data is shown in the following table. You can pause the video to have a look at the table. For each of the following statements, select yes if the statement is true, otherwise select no. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. So the statements are: mass is a feature, quality test is a label, temperature is a label. So the right options are, so the first two statements are true, the third statement is false. Question number 97. For each of the following statements, select yes if the statement is true, otherwise select no. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. So the statements are: you train a regression model by using unlabeled data. The classification technique is used to predict sequential numerical data over time. Grouping items by their common characteristics is an example of clustering. So the right options are, so the first two statements are true and the third statement is false. Question number 98. Which of the following is not a capability of the Azure Computer Vision Service? Choose two answers. And we have the following four options. Option A, describe an image with a phrase or sentence. Option B, detect printed or handwritten text found in an image. Option C, train a custom model to identify domain-specific entities in an image. Option D, extract text and key value pairs from documents. So the right answer here is option C and option D. Of the capabilities listed, there are two that are not features offered by the Azure Computer Vision Service. Train a custom model to identify domain-specific entities is an image. Extract text and key value pairs from documents. However, these capabilities do exist with other Azure cognitive services. For example, it is possible to train and publish a custom model to identify and locate domain-specific entities in an image using Azure Custom Vision services. Also, you can use Form Recognizer to extract text and key value pairs from documents. So question number 99. Which two actions are performed during the data ingestion and data preparation stage of an Azure machine learning process? Each correct answer represents part of the solution. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. And we have the following five options. Option A, calculate the accuracy of the model. Option B, score test data by using the model. Option C, combine multiple datasets. Option D, use the model for real-time predictions. And option E, remove records that have missing values. So the right answer here is option C and option E. Question number 100. You need to predict the animal population of an area. Which Azure machine learning type should you use? And we have the following three options: regression, clustering, classification. So the right answer here is option A, regression. Regression is a supervised machine learning technique used to predict numeric values. Question number 101. Which of the following are one of the Azure Cognitive Services 6 principles of responsible AI? Choose two answers. And we have the following four options: transparency, fairness, communication, collaboration. So the right answer here is option A and option B, transparency and fairness. The Azure Cognitive Services six principles of responsible AI are fairness, transparency, inclusiveness, accountability, safety and reliability, security and privacy. Question number 102. Which two languages can you use to write custom code for Azure Machine Learning Designer? Each correct answer represents a complete solution. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. We have the following four options: Python, R, C, Scala. So the right answer here is option A and option B, Python and R language. Use Azure Machine Learning Designer for customizing using Python and R code. Question number 103. For each of the following statements, select yes if the statement is true, otherwise select no. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. And we have the following three statements. For a regression model, labels must be numeric. And for a clustering model, labels must be used. For a classification model, labels must be numeric. So the right options are: the first statement is true, and the second and third statements are false. Question number 104. You are building an application that allows you to search the transcripts of recorded conversations from your customer support call center. Which Azure Cognitive Service would you use to convert audio from call center conversations into text? And we have the following four options: speech to text, language understanding, translator, text analytics. So the right answer here is option A, speech to text. The Azure Speech to Text service can convert audio files to text and supports a variety of languages. Question number 105. Your company wants to build a recycling machine for bottles. The recycling machine must automatically identify bottles of the correct shape and reject all other items. Which type of AI workload should the company use? And we have the following four options: anomaly detection, conversational AI, computer vision, natural language processing. So the right option here is option C, computer vision. Azure Computer Vision Service gives you access to advanced algorithms that process images and return information based on the visual features you are interested in. For example, computer vision can determine whether an image contains adult content, find specific brands or objects, or find human faces. Question number 106. For each of the following statements, select yes if the statement is true, otherwise select no. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. Statements are: when creating an object detection model in the custom vision service, you must choose a classification type of either multi-label or multi-class. You can create an object detection model in the custom vision service to find the location of content within an image. So when creating an object detection model in the custom vision service, You can select from a set of predefined domains. So the right options are, so the first statement is false and the second and third statements are true. So question number 107. In Azure Cognitive Services, what is a Q&A knowledge base? And we have the following four options. Option A data set that includes question and answer pairs. Option B, a data set that includes a list of utterances and intents. Option C, a data set that includes a set of industry specific terms and the corresponding definition. Option D, a database that includes training data sets for a variety of conversational AI scenarios. So the right answer here is option A data set that includes question and answer pairs. When you set up Q&A Maker, you create a knowledge base that includes a set of questions and answer pairs. Each answer can have multiple forms of the same question. Once your Q&A Maker service is deployed, it can take a user questions as input and process it to determine the appropriate answers found in the knowledge base. Question number 108. In which two scenarios can you use the form recognizer service? Each correct answer represents a complete solution. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. And we have the following four options. Option A, extract the invoice number from an invoice. Option B, translate a form from French to English. Option C, find image of product in a catalog. Option D, identify the retailer from a receipt. So the right answer here is option A and option D. Question number 109. Select the answer that correctly completes the sentence. Counting the number of animals in an area based on a video feed is an example of, and we have the following four options. So the right answer here is computer vision. Counting the number of animals in an area based on a video feed is an example of computer vision. Question number 110. You want to build a web-based application that uses conversational AI to answer a variety of user questions. Which Azure service is the best choice? And we have the following four options: Azure Bot Service, Translator, Text Analytics, Speech Translation. So the right answer here is option A, Azure Bot Service. The Azure Bot Service provides the Bot Framework SDK and Bot Framework Composer to help teams build and deploy bots. A bot is a service capable of interacting with the user in a similar way to how the user would interact with another person. The purpose of a bot is to automate relatively simple and repetitive tasks so that human intervention is not needed. You have a database that contains a list of employees and their photos. You're tagging new photos of the employees. For each of the following statements, select yes if the statement is true, otherwise select no. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. So you have the following three statements. The face service can be used to perform facial recognition for employees. The face
Service will be more accurate if you provide more sample photos of each employee from different angles. If an employee is wearing sunglasses, the face service will always fail to recognize the employee. So the right options are, so the first two statements are true and the third statement is false. Question number 112. You need to develop a mobile app for employees to scan and store their expenses while traveling. Which type of computer vision should you use? And we have the following four options: semantic segmentation, image classification, object detection, optical character recognition. So the right answer here is option D, optical character recognition. Azure's computer vision API includes optical character recognition capabilities that extract printed or handwritten text from images. You can extract text from images such as photos of license plates or containers with serial numbers, as well as from documents, invoice, bills, financial reports, articles, and more. Question number 113. For each of the following statements, select yes if the statement is true, otherwise select no. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. So we have the following statements. The custom vision service can be used to detect objects in an image. The custom vision service requires that you provide your own data to train the model. The custom vision service can be used to analyze video files. So the right answers are, so the first two statements are true and the third statement is false. So the first statement is true. Custom vision functionality can be divided into two features. Image classification applies one or more labels to an image. Object detection is similar, but it also returns the coordinates in the image where applied labels can be found. And option 2 is true. The custom vision service uses a machine learning algorithm to analyze images. You, the developer, submit groups of images that feature the lack of the characteristics in question. You label the images yourself at the time of submission. Then the algorithm trains to these data and calculates its own accuracy by testing itself on those same images. The third statement is false. Custom vision service can be used only on graphic files. Question number 114. You are processing photos of runners in a race. You need to read the numbers on the runner's shirt to identify the runners in the photo. Which type of computer vision should you use? And we have the following four options: facial recognition, optical character recognition, image classification, object detection. So the right option here is option B, optical character recognition. Optical character recognition allows you to extract printed or handwritten text from images and documents. Question number 115. Match the types of machine learning to the appropriate scenarios. To answer, drag the appropriate machine learning type from the column on the left to its scenarios on the right. Each machine learning type may be used once, more than once, or not at all. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. So machine learning types we have facial detection, facial recognition, image classification, object detection, optical character recognition, semantic segmentation. So the right machine learning types are image classification, separate image of polar bears and brown bears. Object detection, determine the location of a bear in a photo. Semantic segmentation determines which pixels in an image are part of a bear. So image classification is a supervised learning problem. Define a set of target classes and train a model to recognize them using labeled example photos. And object detection is a computer vision problem. While closely related to image classification, object detection performs image classification at a more granular scale. Object detection both locates and categorizes entities within images. And semantic segmentation achieves fine-grained inference by making dense predictions inferring labels for every pixel so that each pixel is labeled with a class of its enclosing objects or origin. Question number 116. Use drones to identify where weeds grow between rows of crops to send an instructions for the removal of the weeds. This is an example of which type of computer vision. And we have the following three options: object detection, optical character recognition, scene segmentation. So the right option here is option A, object detection. Object detection is similar to tagging, but the API returns the bounding box coordinates for each tag applied. For example, if an image contains a dog, cat, and person, the detect operation will list those objects together with their coordinates in the image. So the incorrect options are optical character recognition allows you to extract printed or handwritten text from images and documents. Scene segmentation determines when a scene changes in a video based on visual cues. A scene depicts a single event and it's composed by a series of consecutive shots which are semantically related. Question number 217. Match the facial recognition task to the appropriate questions. To answer, drag the appropriate task from the column on the left to its question on the right. Each task may be used once, more than once, or not at all. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. So we have the following tasks: grouping, identification, similarity, verification. So the right tasks for the statements are verification, do two images of a face belong to the same person? Similarity, does this person look like other people? Grouping, do all the faces belong together? Identification, who's this person in this group of people? So face verification checks the likelihood that two faces belong to the same person and receives a confidence score. And face detection, detect one or more human faces along with attributes such as age, emotion, pose, smile, and facial hair, including 27 landmark of each face in the image. Question number 118. Match the types of computer vision workloads to the appropriate scenarios. To answer, drag the appropriate workload type from the column on the left to its scenarios on the right. Each workload type may be used once, more than once, or not at all. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. So the workload types we have facial recognition, image classification, object detection, optical character recognition, OCR. So the correct workload type for the statements are facial recognition, identify celebrities in image; optical character recognition, extract movie title names from movie poster image; object detection, we have locate vehicles in images.
Question number 119. You need to determine the location of cars in an image so that you can estimate the distance between the cars. Which type of computer vision should you use? And we have the following four options: optical character recognition, object detection, image classification, face detection. So the right answer here is option B, object detection. Object detection is similar to tagging, but the API returns the bounding box coordinates for each object found. For example, if an image contains a dog, cat, and person, the detect operation will list those objects together with their coordinates in the image. You can use this functionality to process the relationships between the objects in an image. It also lets you determine whether there are multiple instances of the same tag in an image. The detect API applies tags based on the objects or living things identified in the image. There is currently no formal relationship between the tagging taxonomy and the object detection taxonomy. At a conceptual level, the detect API only finds objects and living things, while the tag API can also include contextual terms like indoor, which can't be localized with bounding boxes. Question number 120. To complete the sentence, select the appropriate option in the answer area. You can use the dash service to train an object detection model by using your own images. And we have the following four options: computer vision, custom vision, form recognizer, video indexer. So the right option here is custom vision. Azure Custom Vision is a cognitive service that lets you build, deploy, and improve your own image classifiers. An image classifier is an AI service that applies labels to images according to their visual characteristics, unlike the computer vision service. Custom Vision allows you to specify the labels to apply. The Custom Vision service uses a machine learning algorithm to apply labels to images. You, the developer, must submit groups of images that feature and lack the characteristics in question. You label the images yourself at the time of submission, then the algorithm trains to these data and calculates its own accuracy by testing itself on those same images. Once the algorithm is trained, you can test, retrain, and eventually use it to classify new images according to the needs of your app. You can also export the model itself for offline use. So question number 121. You send an image to a computer vision API and receives back the annotated image shown in the exhibit. Which type of computer vision was used? And we have the following four options: object detection, face detection, optical character recognition, image classification. So the right option here is option A, object detection. Object detection is similar to tagging, but the API returns the bounding box coordinates in for each object found. For example, if an image contains a dog, cat, and a person, the detect operation will list those objects together with their coordinates in the image. You can use this functionality to process the relationships between the objects in an image. It also lets you determine whether there are multiple instances of the same tag in an image. The detect API applies tags based on the objects or living things identified in the image. There is currently no formal relationship between the tagging taxonomy and the object detection taxonomy. At a conceptual level, the detect API only finds objects and living things, while the tag API can also include contextual terms like indoor, which can't be localized with bounding boxes. So question number 122. What are two tasks that can be performed by using the computer vision service? Each correct answer presents a complete solution. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. And we have the following four options. Option A, train a custom image classification model. Option B, detect faces in an image. Option C, recognize handwritten text. Option D, translate the text in an image between languages. So the right option here is option B and option C. So Azure Computer Vision Service provides developers with access to advanced algorithms that process images and return information based on the visual features you are interested in. For example, computer vision can determine whether an image contains adult content, find specific brands or objects, or find human faces. Computer vision includes optical character recognition capabilities. You can use the new Read API to extract printed and handwritten text from images and documents. Question number 123. What is a use case for classification? And we have the following four options. Option A, predicting how many cups of coffee a person will drink based on how many hours the person slept the previous night. Option B, analyzing the contents of images and grouping images that have similar colors. Option C, predicting whether someone uses a bicycle to travel to work based on the distance from home to work. Option D, predicting how many minutes it will take someone to run a race based on past race times. So the right option here is option C, predicting whether someone uses a bicycle to travel to work based on the distance from home to work. Two-class classification provides the answer to simple two-choice questions such as yes or no or true or false. So incorrect answers are this is regression, this is clustering, and option D is regression. So question number 124. What are two tasks that can be performed by using computer vision? Each correct answer represents a complete solution. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. And we have the following five options. Predict stock prices, detect brands in an image, detect the color scheme in an image, translate text between languages, extract key phrases. So the right option here is option B and option C. Identify commercial brands in images or videos from a database of thousands of global logos. You can use this feature, for example, to discover which brands are most popular on social media or most prevalent in media product placement. Option C, analyze color usage within an image. Computer vision can determine whether an image is black or white or color, and for color images, identify the dominant and accent colors. Question number 125. You need to build an image tagging solution for social media that tags images of your friends automatically. Which Azure Cognitive Services service should you use? And we have the following four options: face, form recognizer, text analytics, computer vision. So the right option here is option A, face. The Azure Cognitive Services Face service provides facial recognition and analysis capabilities. It can detect and recognize faces in images, identify specific individuals, and analyze facial attributes such as age, gender, emotions, and more. By training the face service with images of your friends, you can create a custom face recognition model that will allow you to automatically tag images of your friends in social media. The face service provides robust and accurate face detection and recognize capabilities, making it suitable for tasks like image tagging based on specific individuals. Question number 126. In which two scenarios can you use the form recognizer service? Each correct answer represents a complete solution. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. And we have the following four options. Option A, identify the retailer from a receipt. Option B, translate from French to English. Option C, extract the invoice number from an invoice. Option D, find images of products in a catalog. So the right answer here is option A and option C. Question number 127. Drag drop. Match the facial recognition task to the appropriate questions. To answer, drag the appropriate task from the column on the left to its question on the right. Each task may be used once, more than once, or not at all. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. So we have the following task: grouping, identification, similarity, and verification. So let's see the right task for the statements are verification. Do two images of a face belong to the same person? Similarity. Does this person look like other people? Identification. Who is this person in this group of people? So the first one, verification, identity verification. So modern enterprises and apps can use the face identification and face verification operations to verify that a user is who they claim to be. And similarity. The find similar operation does face matching between a target face and a set of candidate faces, finding a smaller set of faces that look similar to the target face. This is useful for doing a face search by image. The service supports two working modes: match person and match face. The match person mode returns similar faces after filtering for the same person by using the verify API. The match face mode ignores the same person filter. It returns a list of similar candidates' faces that may or may not belong to the same person. And identification. Face identification can address one-to-many matching of one face in an image to a set of faces in a secure repository. Match candidates are returned based on how closely their face data matches the query face. This scenario is used in granting building or airport access to a certain group of people or verifying the user of a device. Question number 128. Which computer vision feature can you use to generate automatic captions for digital photographs? And we have the following four options: recognize text, identify the areas of interest, detect objects, describe the images. So the right options here is option D, describe the images. Describe images with human readable language. Computer vision can analyze an image and generate a human readable phrase that describes its contents. The algorithm returns several descriptions based on different visual features, and each description is given a confidence score. The final output is a list of descriptions ordered from highest to lowest confidence. The image description feature is part of the Analyze Image API. Question number 129. Which service should you use to extract text, key value pairs, and table data automatically from scanned documents? And we have the following four options: custom vision, face, form recognizer, language. So the right option here is option C, form recognizer. Form Recognizer applies advanced machine learning to accurately extract text, key value pairs, tables, and structures from documents. So question number 130. Select the answer that correctly completes the sentence. Dash extracts text from handwritten documents. And we have the following four options. So the right option here is optical character recognition OCR. Extract text from handwritten documents. Handwritten OCR, optical character recognition, is the process of automatically extracting handwritten information from paper, scans, and other low quality digital documents. Question number 131. You are developing a solution that uses the text analytics service. You need to identify the main talking points in a collection of documents. Which type of natural language processing should you use? And we have the following four options: entity recognition, key phrase extraction, sentiment analysis, language detection. So the right option here is option B, key phrase extraction. Broad entity extraction, identify important concepts in text, including key phrase extraction. Broad entity extraction, identify important concepts in text, including key phrases and named entities such as people, faces, and organizations. Question number 132. In which two scenarios can you use speech recognition? Each correct answer represents a complete solution. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. And we have the following four options. Option A, an in-car system that reads text messages aloud. Option B, providing closed captions for recorded or live videos. Option C, creating an automated public address system for a train station. Option D, creating a transcript of a telephone call or meeting. So the right option here is option B and option D. Question number 133. To complete the sentence, select the appropriate option in the answer area. While presenting at a conference, your session is transcribed into subtitles for the audience. This is an example of, and we have the following four options: sentiment analysis, speech recognition, speech synthesis, translation. So the right option here is speech recognition. Question number 134. You need to build an app that will read receipt instructions aloud to support users who have reduced vision. Which version service should you use? And we have the following four options: text analytics, translator, speech, language understanding. So the right option here is option C, speech. Question number 135. For each of the following statements, select yes if the statement is true, otherwise select no. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. So we have the following statements. You can use the speech service to transcribe a call to text. You can use the text analytics service to extract key entities from a call transcript. You can use the speech service to translate the audio of a call to a different language. So the right options are, so all the statements are true. So question number 136. Your website has a chatbot to assist customers. You need to detect when a customer is upset based on what the customer types in the chatbot. Which type of AI workload should you use? We have the following four options: anomaly detection, computer vision, regression, natural language processing. So the right option here is option D, NLP, natural language processing. Natural language processing NLP is used for tasks such as sentiment analysis, topic detection, language detection, key phrase extraction, and document categorization. Sentiment analysis is the process of determining whether a piece of writing is positive, negative, or neutral. Question number 137. You plan to develop a bot that will enable users to query a knowledge base by using natural language processing. Which two services should you include in the solution? Each correct answer represents part of the solution. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. We have the following four options: Q&A Maker, Azure Bot Service, Form Recognizer, Anomaly Detector. So the right answer here is option A and option B, Q&A Maker and Azure Bot Service. Question number 138. In which two scenarios can you use a speech synthesis solution? Each correct answer represents a complete solution. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. And we have the following four options. Option A, an automated voice that reads back a credit card number entered into a telephone by using a numeric keypad. Option B, generating live captions for a news broadcast. Option C, extracting key phrases from the audio recording of a meeting. Option D, an AI character in a computer game that speaks audibly to a player. So the right option here is option A and option D. Azure text-to-speech is a speech service feature that converts text to life-like speech. So question number 139. For each of the following statements, select yes if the statement is true, otherwise select no. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. So you have the following three statements. You can use the translator service to translate text between languages. You can use the translator service to detect the language of given text. You can use the translator service to transcribe audible speech into text. So the right options are, so the first two statements are true and the third statement is false. The translator service provides multi-language support for text translation, transliteration, language detection, and dictionaries. Speech to text, also known as automatic speech recognition, is a feature of speech services that provides transcription. Question number 140. You need to scan the news for articles about your customers and alert employees when there is a negative article. Positive articles must be added to a press book. Which NLP task should you use to complete the process? To answer, drag the appropriate task to the correct locations. Each task may be used once, more than once, not at all. You may need to drag the split bar between pans or scroll to view content. So we have the following task: entity recognition, sentiment analysis, speech synthesis, and translation. So we have the following flow. So let's see the right tasks in the boxes are So entity recognition in the first one and sentiment analysis in the second one. Question number 141. You're building a knowledge base by using Q&A Maker. Which file format can you use to populate the knowledge base? And we have the following four options: PPTX, XML, ZIP, and PDF. So the right option here is option D, PDF. So content types of documents can add to knowledge base. Content types include many standard structured documents such as PDF, doc, and TXT. The tool supports the following file formats for ingestion: .tsv for Q&A contained in the format question answer, .txt, .docx, and .pdf Q&A contained as regular frequently asked question content, that is a sequence of question and answers. So the incorrect answers are: PPTX is a default presentation file format for a new PowerPoint presentations. And option B, it is not possible to ingest XML file directly. So question number 142. In which scenario should you use key phrase extraction? And we have the following four options. Option A, identifying whether reviews of a restaurant are positive or negative. Option B, generating captions for a video based on the audio track. Option C, identifying which documents provide information about the same topics. Option D, translating a set of documents from English to German. So the right option here is option C, identifying which documents provide information about the same topics. So question number 143. You have insurance claim reports that are stored as text. You need to extract key terms from the reports to generate summaries. Which type of AI workload should you use? And we have the following four options: NLP, natural language processing, conversational AI, anomaly detection, computer vision. So the right option here is option A, NLP, natural language processing. Question number 144. To complete the sentence, select the appropriate option in the answer area. Natural language processing can be used to, and we have the following four options. So the right option here is classify email messages as work related or personal. So NLP, natural language processing, is used to tasks such as sentiment analysis, topic detection, language detection, key phrase extraction, and document categorization. So question number 145. Which AI service can you use to interpret the meaning of a user input such as call me back later? And we have the following four options: translator, text analytics, speech, language understanding. So the right option here is option D, language understanding. So language understanding is a cloud-based AI service that applies custom machine learning intelligence to users' conversational natural language text to predict overall meaning and pull out relevant detailed information. Question number 146. You are developing a chatbot solution in Azure. Which service should you use to determine a user's intent? And we have the following four options: translator, Q&A maker, speech, language understanding. So the right option here is option D, language understanding. So language understanding is a cloud-based API service that applies custom machine learning intelligence to a user conversational natural language text to predict overall meaning and pull out relevant detailed information. Design your LUIS model with categories of user intentions called intents. Each intent needs example of user utterances. Each utterance can provide data that needs to be extracted with machine learning entities. Question number 147. You need to make that written press release for a company available in a range of languages. Which service should you use? We have the following four options: translator, text analytics, speech, language understanding. So the right option here is option A, translator. Translator is a cloud-based machine translation service you can use to translate text in near real time through a simple REST API call. The service uses modern neural machine translation technology and offers statistical machine translation technology. Custom Translator is an extension of Translator which allows you to build neural translation systems. So question number 148. For each of the following statements, select yes if the statement is true. Otherwise, select no. So each correct selection is worth 1 point. So we have the following three statements. The text analytics service can identify in which language text is written. The text analytics service can detect handwritten signatures in a document. The text analytics service can identify companies and organizations mentioned in a document. So the right options are, so the first statement is true, the second statement is false, and the third statement is true. The Text Analytics API is a cloud-based service that provides advanced natural language processing over raw text and includes four main functions: sentiment analysis, key phrase extraction, named entity recognition, and language detection. So the first statement is true. You can detect which language that input text is written in and report a single language code for every document submitted on the request in a wide range of languages, variants, dialects, and some regional cultural languages. The language code is paired with a score indicating the strength of the score. So the third statement is true. Named entity recognition identify the categorize entities in your text as people, places, organizations, date, time, quantities, percentages, currencies, and more. Well-known entities are also recognized and linked to more information on the web. So question number 149. Match the types of natural languages processing workloads to the appropriate scenarios. To answer, drag the appropriate workload type from the column on the left to its scenarios on the right. Each workload type may be used once, more than once, or not at all. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. So workload types we have entity recognition, key phrase extraction, language modeling, sentiment analysis, translation, speech recognition, and speech synthesis. So the right workload types for the statements are entity recognition for extract persons, locations, and organizations from the text, and sentiment analysis for evaluates text along a positive negative scale, translation for converts text to a different language. For each of the following statements, select yes if the statement is true, otherwise select no. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. And we have the following three statements. Monitoring online service reviews for profanities is an example of natural language processing. The second statement, identifying brand logos in an image is an example of natural language processing. Third statement, monitoring public news sites for negative mentions of a product is an example of natural language processing. So the right options are, so the first statement is true, the second statement is false, and the third statement is true. So question number 151, you are developing a natural language processing solution in Azure. The solution will analyze customers' reviews and determine how positive and negative each review is. This is an example of which type of natural language processing workload. And we have the following four options: language detection, sentiment analysis, key phrase extraction, entity recognition. So the right option here is option B, sentiment analysis. Sentiment analysis is the process of determining whether a piece of writing is positive, negative, or neutral. So question number 152. You use natural language processing to process text from a Microsoft news story. You receive the output shown in the following exhibit. You can pause the video to have a look at the exhibit. So which type of natural language processing was performed? And we have the following four options: entity recognition, key phrase extraction, sentiment analysis, translation. So the right option here is option A, entity recognition. So named entity recognition is the ability to identify different entities in text and categorize them into predefined classes or types such as person, location, event, product, and organization. In this question, the square bracket indicates the entity such as date, time, person type, skill.
So question number 153. You are using Azure machine learning to develop a model to predict whether a potential borrower is likely to default on a loan. The following confusion matrix describes the performance of one of your models. Predicted outcome across the top, true value, top to bottom. Which statement about these results is true? Choose two answers. Option A, there were 35 false negatives. Option B, there were 11 false negatives. Option C, there were 11 false positives. Option D, there were 11 true positives. So the right answer here is option A and option C. Question number 154. You are using Azure machine learning to develop a machine learning model to predict fuel efficiency for automobiles manufactured between 2000 and 2010. The following information is provided for each automobile in a dataset. So currently the car name includes both the manufacturer and the car model. You would like to break the car name into two separate pieces of data, manufacturer and model. What is the term used to describe this type of data processing before training a model? Option A, feature engineering. Option B, feature selection. Option C, normalization. And option D, data splitting. So the right answer here is option A, feature engineering. The scenario given is this problem is an example of feature engineering. Feature engineering is a process where new features are created by transforming raw data. Feature engineering, normalization, and data splitting are examples of three common data transformation steps taken before training a machine learning model. If you are not familiar with normalization, take a look at the documentation for the normalization module. Normalization data can be an important step when preparing data to train a model. So let's jump on to the next question. So question number 155. You are using Azure machine learning to develop a machine learning model to predict fuel efficiency for automobiles manufactured between 2000 and 2010. The following information is provided for each automobile in the dataset. So which of the following statements about the dataset and machine learning model are correct? Choose two answers. Option A, MPG is the label for this machine learning model. Option B, MPG is a feature for this machine learning model. Option C, the car name is the label for this machine learning model. And option D, the manufacturer is an example of a potential feature for this machine learning model. So the right answer here is option A and option D. Question number 156. You plan to apply text analytics API features to a technical support ticketing system. Match the text analytics API features to the appropriate natural language processing scenarios. To answer, drag the appropriate feature from the column on the left to its scenario on the right. Each feature may be used once, more than once, not at all. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. So API features are entity recognition, key phrase extraction, language detection, sentiment analysis. So let's see the right API feature for the statements are. So for sentiment analysis, understand how upset a customer is based on the text contained in the support ticket. Key phrase extraction, summarize important information from the support ticket. Entity recognition, extract key dates from the support ticket. So let's jump on to the next question. Question number 157. You are authoring a language understanding application to support a music festival. You want users to be able to ask questions about scheduled shows, such as which act is playing on the main stage. The question, which act is playing on the main stage, is an example of which type of element. The options are an intent, an utterance, a domain, an entity. So the right answer here is option B, an utterance. Utterances are input from the user that your app needs to interpret. So let's jump on to the next question. Question number 158. You build a Q&A maker bot by using a frequently asked questions page. You need to add professional greetings and other responses to make the bot more user friendly. What should you do? And the options are option A, increase the confidence threshold of responses. Option B, enable active learning. Option C, create multi-turn questions. And option D, add chit chat. So the right answer here is option D. Question number 159. You need to develop a chatbot for a website. The chatbot must answer users' questions based on the information in the following documents. The product troubleshooting guide in a Microsoft Word document, a frequently asked questions list on a web page. Which service should you use to process the documents? Option A, Azure Bot Service. Option B, Language Understanding. Option C, Text Analytics. And option D, Q&A Maker. So the right answer here is option D, Q&A Maker. Question number 160. You are building a language understanding model for an e-commerce business. You need to ensure that the model detects when utterances are outside the intended scope of the model. What should you do? Option A, test the model by using new utterances. Option B, add utterances to the non-intent. Option C, create a pre-built task entity. And option D, create a new model. So the right answer here is option B, add utterances to the non-intent. The non-intent is filled with utterances that are outside of your domain. You have a frequently asked question PDF file. You need to create a conversational support system based on the FAQ. Which service should you use? And we have the following four options: Q&A maker, text analytics, computer vision, language understanding. So the right answer here is option A, Q&A maker. You need to provide content for a business chatbot that will help answer simple user queries. What are three ways to create question and answer text by using Q&A maker? Each correct answer represents a complete solution. Option A, generate the questions and answers from an existing web page. Option B, use automated machine learning to train a model based on a file that contains the question. Option C, manually enter the question and answers. Option D, connect the bot to the Cortana channel and ask questions by using Cortana. And option E, import chit chat content from a predefined data source. So the right answer here is option A, C, and option E. For each of the following statements, select yes if the statement is true, otherwise select no. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. A bot that responds to queries by internal users is an example of a conversational AI workload. The second statement, an application that displays images relating to an entered search term is an example of a conversational AI workload. Third statement, a web form used to submit a request to reset a password is an example of a conversational AI workload. And the right options are: the first statement is true, the second one is false, and the third statement is true. You are developing a conversational AI solution that will communicate with users through multiple channels including email, Microsoft Teams, and web chat. Which service should you use? And the options are text analytics, Azure bot service, translator, form recognizer. So the right option here is option B, Azure bot service. You need to make the written press release for your company available in a range of languages. Which service should you use? The options are speech, language, translator, personalizer. So the right option here is option C, translator. You have insurance claim reports that are stored as text. You need to extract key terms from the reports to generate summaries. Which type of AI workload should you use? And the options are anomaly detection, natural language processing, computer vision, knowledge mining. So the right answer here is option B, natural language processing. You have a web chat bot that provides responses from a Q&A maker knowledge base. You need to ensure that the bot uses user feedback to improve the relevance of the responses over time. What should you use? And the options are key phrase extraction, sentiment analysis, business logic, active learning. So the right answer here is option D, active learning. Which two scenarios are example of a natural language processing workload? Each correct answer represents a complete solution. Option A, monitoring the temperature of machinery to turn on a fan when the temperature reaches a specific threshold. Option B, a smart device in the home that responds to questions such as what will the weather be like today? Option C, a website that uses a knowledge base to interactively respond to users' questions. Option D, assembly line machinery that autonomously inserts headlamps into cars. So the right answer here is option B and option C. You have an AI solution that provides users with the ability to control smart devices by using verbal commands. Which two types of natural language processing workloads does the solution use? Each correct answer represents a part of the solution. So the options are text to speech, key phrase extraction, speech to text, language modeling, translation. So the right option here is option B and option C, key phrase extraction and speech to text. For each of the following statements, select yes if the statement is true, otherwise select no. So the statements are: the language service can identify in which language text is written. The language service can detect handwritten signatures in a document. The language service can identify companies and organizations mentioned in a document. So the right options are: the first statement is true, the second one is false, and the third statement is true. You plan to use Azure Cognitive Services to develop a voice-controlled personal assistant app. Match the Azure Cognitive Services to the appropriate tasks. To answer, drag the appropriate service from the column on the left to its description on the right. Each service may be used once, more than once, or not at all. Each correct selection is worth 1 point. So the services are speech, language service, translator text. So let's see, the right options are speech, convert a user's speech to text; language service, identify a user intent; speech, provide a spoken response to the user. You need to build an app that will read receive instructions aloud to support users who have reduced vision. Which version service should you use? And the options are language service, translator, speech, personalizer. So the right option here is option C, speech.